Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 312. Tara Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, alongside Johnny V.
Just sitting here.
Just sitting here.
here.
You do that well, buddy.
No, I don't.
No.
I don't even do that well.
All right.
There are some things I do very well in life and other things I don't. For those of you that follow me on social media, you know that one of the things I don't do very well is caulk. And I did that all yesterday as I was filling in some gaps on the stairway down to the studio. I hate it. It's one of those tedious
Are
little
you
projects.
not good at it, or
Yes.
do you just hate it?
Both. Like, I'm not good at it. And my favorite is everybody online that tells you everything you know, like, oh, you got to cut the thing at 45 degrees. Yeah, I know that. Make sure it's a small cut. Yep, I know that. Go nice and slow. Yep, I know. Lick your finger or get some soap, and I know all that. I'm still not good at it. It's like telling somebody how to throw a disc. No, you have to pull back. You have to X step, follow through, power pocket, and they're like, yeah, I just can't do it. I'm not good at it yet. Like, it's one of those skills that takes a lot of time. I think you have to do it most of the time. I think you have to do it regularly to be
Proficient?
very proficient at it. Like, it looks good. I did it. It just took a long time. It was a lot of wiping and reapplying and wiping and cleaning and dry towel. It just a lot of stuff that you don't necessarily need. And that's So there are some things I'm good at. There are some things I'm not. There are a lot of things I'm not good at. That is one of them.
Speaking of social media and things that aren't good at, we've neglected to mention the Party podcast and the new fundraiser disc.
No, we haven't. We've literally talked about it like every other week.
I know. Hannah Macbeth getting all up in my business because she did, and I don't even know if I did tell you this, though. I will give her the shout out in the sense that she did hand over a couple of discs, and she has one for you and one for me. Nice. Allegedly. They're both in my possession right now. But I know that she has a fundraiser disc, and it's video game themed, and there's a whole story behind it, and tune in and okay, that's all available for everyone. So Hannah, there's your shout out,
and people can go out and buy these, or are they sold out?
No, they're sold out. So that's why it's stupid to even continue to talk about them. But I did challenge her, and I said, should we talk about how you have a fundraiser disc and how that might upset other people that maybe feel like they should have a fundraiser disc?
I should have a fundraiser disc.
Yeah, like you.
Actually,
or
we do. Patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV for $3.
You do get one.
You do get a disc
with a Johnny V autograph on it,
and so
or some of the other professional players that tour around the country that maybe don't feel like they have enough support, and maybe they could be in need of a fundraiser disc. But that could be a hot topic for sometime a little bit later. So, but of course, check them out over on the Disc Golf Network, our beautiful partner media company over there at Disc Golf Network. That's where you can find the podcast. Okay, tonight, after talking cock and the party,
enunciate that very well.
Talking cock. We've got Chris Clemons, who's going to be joining us tonight. Chris Clemons with an amazing performance this last weekend over there in Pittsburgh. Super excited to catch up with him. It sounds like he might have a little bit of a rowdy house or crew that he's in quarantine with. So maybe Chris Clemons and friends.
That could be a show.
I feel like it should be.
Yeah, like a cartoon, I think.
Or a really, really good reality show. But Chris Clemons and friends might be joining us. We didn't get a chance to fully test ahead of time, so we're going to work through the on-air live as we go kind of testing. Everybody loves that. And I did extend also an invite to one Steve Rico, who managed to pull down a victory this last weekend, and wanted to talk to him. We'll see if he is or is not going to be in a capacity to join us. He indicated he might not be, but I did extend the offer. So that's why you saw him on the official thumbnail at one time or another. Steve, we'd love to hear and talk to you a little bit later. And it works out well. They're, of course, on the West Coast. So if he does decide to come in a little bit later, we've got time to get that figured out, being a little later. So Chris Clemons will join us in a little bit. Also, real quick, we can, as we are going to get lined up with Chris here shortly, real quick, we can go over a few of the it's weird to talk about non-disc golf pro tour, non-national tour, non-majors, but some A tiers did go down this weekend. And like I said, not only will we talk with Chris, but also shout out Casey White took it down in I believe a playoff with Cam Messerschmidt, winning the Greater Hartford Open. Disc Golf Open this weekend. Steve Brinster finishing in third and Simon Lizotte finishing in fourth. So that's what we saw on the pro side, MPO side. And Cassandra L took it down in the FPO division over Kelly Zima. So congratulations to them over at the Greater Hartford. I know that's one that Mo, who...
Heartbroken.
Yeah, I know that it's one he's frequently part of.
He has made it a point. Mo has to go to this event and basically not make any money, put himself up, put the stuff out through Central Coast, and he was telling me at the last Pro Tour event when he was sitting here how heartbroken he was that he was not going to be able to cover that particular one. So that's
well. That's what happens. And then, like I said, we'll get a little bit into more of the action here with Pittsburgh here. It looks like we've got Chris almost lined up and ready to go. I will quickly read off what I saw. I think we saw some action over in Ontario, Canada. And Casey Hainmayer? We'll go with Hainmayer, is your champion over there in the MPO. Sandy Hendel taking it down in FPO. Shout out to Sandy, always one of the brightest smiling faces out there on the tour. Love seeing her out there. She took it down in FPO, and I think I saw her brother finished in third on the MPO side. So congratulations. Chris Ozelins took second, so to round that out. All right,
it's not very often you do the
I know it's not,
summary.
and I'm thinking, what am I getting myself into? What am I doing?
Sold. You have the job, Terry.
No.
Welcome to the club.
I like it when it's people and names I already know and pronounce.
That's great. Terry, can you tell
Let's
us
keep
how
it easy.
Can you tell us how the one over in Finland went?
I know. I got some peeps over there. Jenny Eskalinen, I think, probably won something. She did great. I'm just going to assume that. I know that name.
All right, I see Chris Clemons in our Disc Baron Digital Green Room. We're going to cross our fingers that when we switch over, we've got audio. I see it going up and down, so let's cross some fingers. So
all right, guys.
Further ado, Chris Clemonade, that's what they call him? Clemons?
Oh, he's got all sorts of names. Hey, Chris, how you doing?
How's it going, guys?
It's going great. Wow, you sound wonderful.
Yeah, you do.
Awesome. It's my pilot headset.
Full circle, right? Full disclosure, you're a little bit of a gamer, online gamer?
Yeah, this is actually my gaming headset, so that's probably why it sounds so good.
It does. Yeah. It sounds really good.
I feel like you're gonna be yelling something at me because I missed my shot. Like, you were our last teammate. Why didn't you save us? So it's gonna be really nice and clear.
I'm a pretty nice gamer. Like I try to be encouraging.
Oh, I'm glad. I don't really play too many, if any, online games on the computer. So
what's the game of choice, Chris? We're gonna get sidetracked right off the bat.
Well, yeah.
Fair enough. So I've been playing Overwatch, which is kind of an FPS game, first-person shooter. And then I play a little bit of Hearthstone. That's fun. It's kind of like a card game.
I just went on an arena run tonight. I got 5 wins on my arena run for Hearthstone.
Nice, dude. Yeah. That's good. That's super good.
Pretty happy with that. Anytime I get over 3, I'm good. Hearthstone
Your arena run?
Arena.
Oh, arena. Okay. I thought you said Rena.
No, arena. It's like it's a format of the game where basically they just give you have to pick one of 3 cards and you make your deck that way, and it's more random than a planned deck that you would make ahead of time and challenge people with. So
okay,
all right, yeah.
Well, Chris, so to break up your online gaming time, you're out there throwing frisbees.
For sure.
Okay, so talk to us a little bit about this weekend and maybe what you know of the history of this tournament, because I feel like it's been around since I've known about disc golf. But talk about your history with the event and then how this one made it onto your tour schedule this year.
So the first time I came to Pittsburgh was in 2015 at the World Championships and played a couple of the courses here, and I remember Moraine pretty vividly, and I remember some of the holes. So I was excited to come back and see how much better I had gotten in the last 5 years. And So Castro said we were going to play it. So whatever he says goes. So I I came up and we stayed with our buddy Casey DeSmith. He's sponsored by Pdga as well, the Pittsburgh Penguins goalie. And we practiced kind of all week. And the holes started to come back to me. And I was like, man, I remember this hole being a lot harder 5 years ago when I first played it. But yeah, I mean, there's a ton of history here. And I know Nathan Queen, who I played against this weekend, he won it 2 years ago in a playoff. So like, there's just been tons of people playing up here, and it's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome course.
Yeah, very iconic. Those courses I feel like have withstood the test of time. I mean, I think back 6, 8, 10, 20 years ago, so many people talked about how challenging those courses are. And of course, they're always, I think, continuing to do some renovations and upgrades and all those other things. But the fact that we're still seeing those courses be played at high-level competitions, including the Worlds, including these A tiers, is just incredible. Now, you mentioned Nathan Queen. Is there any lefty love out there? Is there a hint of that at all?
Oh yeah, me and Nathan are super good buddies. He's a competitor though. Like he loves to compete. But we played together last year at USDGC, and I feel like we're always pretty close when it comes to tournament time across different courses, and so I love playing with him and against him.
So I guess even a step further, and that's all great. I meant, is there any lefty love with the courses? Is there anything that you feel like, because we have a few lefty friends and they're always like, oh, lefty holes or righty holes, that conversation. Yeah. Do you guys have those kind of talks?
I know before our final round on Sunday, Andrew Fish asked me, he was like, man, my buddy said this was a lefty course. What do you have to say about that? And I was like, I mean, I added it up because Ian at Central Coast, he asked me to like kind of tell him what I threw on each hole. And so I looked back and I threw 8 forehands off the tee and 10 backhands. And so that's pretty even. I feel like,
well, a righty would call that a lefty-friendly course. A righty would be like,
that's exactly
come on. Like, seriously, I had to throw 8 turnovers? What's going on here?
That's exactly right. Like, a lot of courses, are fairly righty-friendly, and so when there are some lefty holes, they think of it as a lefty course. So,
now the fact that you're as proficient as you are with your forehand, those probably, I mean, I think everybody loves to go to their bread and butter shot, whatever it is, righty or lefty, but you're pretty proficient with your forehand, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, for sure.
So talk about the battle, and if anybody hasn't, well, too late if you haven't realized that Chris won here, so we're not spoiling much, but talk a little bit about the battle and how the scores unfolded for you. And I'll be the first to admit, I didn't get to consume a lot, so talk to me like I'm stupid, like normal.
Well, I played very good on Saturday. It was kind of the old school, like, shotgun start. You play 1 round in the morning, 1 round in the afternoon on Saturday. And so I played really well on Saturday and had a 4-stroke lead going into Sunday. And honestly, my thought process was, I just want to go and shoot 12 under. I don't want this to even be close. And unfortunately, it didn't turn out that way. I didn't play that well.
But 11 strokes off of that.
Yeah, exactly. And so on Sunday, I remember being on hole 9, and I had a kind of a death putt, a 45-footer, and I was like, if I can make this, I'll still have a 4-stroke lead, which is what I had at the beginning of the round, but I'll have it, for the final 9 holes. But I did make it, and then the next 3 holes, I think after that, it was tough. Sorry, I think my headset messed up here. Can you?
Yep, you're good.
Yep.
Yeah, and so then, it started to become a battle down the stretch, and but I remember after hole 18 and we finished tied, I knew, I kind of like had a feeling, I was like, I'm gonna win this playoff. It was kind of like, the round was over because it was a poor round. So I was kind of happy that it was over and that I got to go to a playoff. It was kind of a fresh start.
Which is such an interesting perspective, because Nathan, of course, not only caught you, but you would think momentum should be in his favor. I saw he birdied hole 17. You went par on 17 and 18. He went birdie par, to ultimately get to the tie with you. A lot of people, setting personalities aside, just looking at it on paper, you would say, well, momentum should be in the guy that's got the 4-stroke that just caught up 4 strokes. But you didn't feel that way.
No, I kind of looked at it as, it was like pretty even. Like he caught me in like a 3-hole span pretty much, and he played. He didn't really do anything special necessarily. I just messed up, and
Okay.
so I was like, if I can play my game, I was confident myself because ultimately I can't control what he does. And so I knew like if I can get birdies, then I can win. And so coming into hole 1, I had birdied it twice out of 3 times during the tournament, and I was pretty confident in it.
Now, what an interesting perspective, and I know we just kind of made the jokes about the lefty and the righties, but to go to a playoff and to have the same line, so to speak, that your competitor does, that doesn't happen often.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, from the lefties' perspectives.
Yeah.
Maybe righties all the time. 2 righties going into playoffs, no big deal. But 2 lefties in a playoff, did that, maybe I'm overplaying it, but did that feel different or weird at all, knowing like, hey, you 2 are going to see each other, throw for throw?
Not really. And I remember watching his throw, and as soon as he released it, I was like, that looks really good. And then it just kind of started fading out a little bit too early. And what I throw on that hole is kind of a really flippy Explorer. And so I kind of hyzer flip it, and it just goes dead straight. And I remember whenever I released it, a lot of my buddies like Castro and Terry Roethlisberger were like, oh no, oh God, because they didn't think it was good. And then it like just flipped up just in time and just rode. But as soon as I released it, I was like, that's got to be pretty good. But so I kind of got a read off of his,
So what would you say was the vibe of the weekend? Because I think about what we've experienced on the Pro Tour, which you've clearly been on. What was the vibe overall, though? Because this is a big event that's not on the Pro Tour, and just quite frankly, we haven't had a lot of those this year.
Yeah, the vibe is really good. It kind of, because we did have some spectators, and the spectators that we did have were very enthusiastic. They were clapping, and I was talking with them and stuff like that, and so it was really cool. It kind of reminded me of what disc golf was before COVID hit, pretty much.
Yeah, and I know that's one of the conversation pieces that happens a lot with all of our top competitors, of how we're dealing with interacting with fans, autographs or no autographs, pictures, selfies, that type of stuff, and then just the sheer atmosphere of getting an applause for a good shot, because it's really awkward when you see this incredible shot and there's like 3 people that are like, yeah, that's
the spotter
it.
And
yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
It's the spotter and the water guy, So it definitely has probably felt really weird for you. So let's talk a little bit about your game plan right now and who you're with and what you're doing and how we're going to transition in these next few weekends.
So we kind of had the option from the Pro Tour in Jeff Spring to basically quarantine in Vermont for 14 days, quarantine there for 7 days, and then take a test, quarantine at home and take a test. And so we chose to stay in Pittsburgh for these 7 days and go to Vermont and take a test this weekend. And if we all test negative, we get to play. And so then we play Smugglers, the GMC, and then we go to Maple Hill and play.
How much did it affect you and your crew for when it was just announced a couple of weeks ago that MVP was going to be after GMC? I mean, you're one of those people that are on the road pretty much full time, and I think how that impacts you versus say a weekend warrior or spotters and volunteers and other people. How much did that timing affect you and your plans, you and the rest of your crew?
Honestly, this year's been different because it's been pretty hard to make like concrete plans.
Yep.
So we have kind of been going, week by week. And so when it was changed, we just kind of rolled with it, and we're like, that's actually a really good thing. It was a great move to be able to play everything, because as it stood, like, half the players wouldn't have been able to play certain, tournaments like Maple Hill and stuff like that. And so I think it's a great move, and we're just kind of rolling with it and seeing how it goes, basically, and just trying to play every weekend.
What have been some of the conversations, because it sounds like, and I've only heard the secondhand myself, honestly, it sounds like some people are opting to either not go to GMC or to maybe reroute themselves a little bit differently. Have you had conversations with people that are changing up their plans?
I mean, I just saw the other day, like, Barsby. He said he was kind of taking off until USDGC. I know Brody Smith is taking off basically for the rest of the year, like touring wise. He's going to practice down in Texas and play some tournaments. I haven't heard from like too many people on what they plan to do. As far as I know, I mean, I expect it to be, the normal people who are there.
Okay.
The normal competitors. We might be missing one here and there, but overall, I think most people are going to show up.
Now, what got you to the point of Pittsburgh, say, as opposed to the Greater Hartford Open, which obviously has really made a name for itself and has gained popularity over these last few years as well? We see Casey White, Cam Messerschmidt, Steve Brinster, Simon Lizotte, a lot of those names. Was what kind of swayed you one versus another?
Usually I talk with Jordan, my touring partner, before, and we talk about kind of what tournaments we want to play. And I mean, honestly, Casey DeSmith being here in Pittsburgh we were pretty confident we were going to be able to stay with him and play the courses and hang out with him. So that's a great pull. But I've heard Wickham Park is awesome at Greater Hartford, and Casey White's one of my closest friends, and I'm super proud of him for winning, and that's super awesome. And so I'm hoping next year that like Pittsburgh's one weekend and then like Greater Hartford's the next weekend, so I can hit both of them. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, try it. Now, at what point were you guys watching scores? And I don't know how the timing all worked out, but did you have conversations at all going back and forth with Casey, or when did you guys have a conversation?
So my round kind of ended, and then I think Casey had maybe 4 or 5 holes left in his round. And I remember looking, and I was with Jordan, and I was like, dude, Casey's like 1 behind Cam right now. And we kept going, and then I was like, dude, Casey's tied right now going into hole 18. And we were freaking out. And then they were in a playoff, and we like had no idea. There wasn't live scoring for the playoff. And so I finally messaged Casey, or I think I actually called him. We got home, and I called him. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? And he was like, nothing. And I was like, did you win? And he was like, yeah. He was like, yeah, man, I won. I was like, dude, that's awesome.
Is it different being on that side of the scoreboard, we'll say, considering you're a sponsored player from Dynamic Disc? Everybody is usually watching UDisc to kind of keep up with scores, and especially, your fans, that maybe not for once, I'm sure you've watched other events, but that you get to kind of be a fan, and especially for a buddy of yours.
Yeah, it was super cool. And for me, honestly, like I've won a couple A tiers in the past, and of course, like winning is, my number one goal. But I was very excited for Casey and what he was able to do. And after my win hadn't really sunken in yet, and so I was following Casey, and I was like rooting for him harder than I was rooting for myself to win. So it was super cool to see him do that, and he got a freaking sword, like.
Yeah, I saw that.
I want a sword. Yeah. That's so cool.
There's Hartford, and there's an event in Minnesota, I believe, King of the North, that used to do a sword trophy. Kale, I think Kale has an entire armory at this point.
Yeah, Viking hats and masks. I've seen it all. Yeah, knights.
Yeah. I got like this huge like chunk of metal, like it's steel metal thing. It's heavy. And Castor told me we can't bring it in the car. It's too heavy.
It's gas mileage.
Steel City, that makes sense.
You're paying 55% of gas awesome. Now.
It's a little trophy. Yep. Would you call it trophy envy? You wouldn't go. I mean, you got to love your trophy too.
Yeah, of course. Of course. And last year in Maine, I got a golden lobster. And so that was super cool too.
Okay. Yeah, I think I remember seeing a post about that. And what was that event? And you're going back, right?
That was the Vacation Land Open,
Oh,
and
okay.
they already had it this year, and
Oh,
I think
okay.
Simon won.
Okay, yeah, I think that was recent
Yeah.
as well. Now, also, I think, did you post recently, your girlfriend, Kayla, she's been playing more events as well? Is that what I saw? You guys both played, it wasn't this weekend, maybe a week or two ago?
Yeah, we played Ledgestone. It was her
Okay, yeah.
first big event or first disc golf pro tour event. She had played at Am Worlds back a couple years ago, I think, in Minnesota. But it was super cool for her. She was excited to get to compete, at a big kind of pro tour event because she's been playing for years, but she usually plays kind of the smaller B and C tiers. And but she's pretty good friends with Katrina Allen, and she's competed with her a little bit in Arkansas.
Sure.
And some random A tiers. And so she was excited to get out and practice with her and kind of learn how to play some big courses.
And now, not to sidetrack too much, but she does hair for a living, right? And how does that impacting like her and her travel, and is that going to open up more opportunities or not? Because it seems like most states are back to being open for things like hair and things like that. So I'm guessing.
Yeah, she's back at work, and actually her son just went back to school. His first day was yesterday, so things are, kind of getting back to normal, and hopefully they continue to go that way. But yeah, she's been working and just practicing, and me personally, I mean, a lot of people know that like I love practice and love to work hard, and that's how you get better, and so that's rubbing off on her, and so she's putting every day and doing all that, and so it's showing. She putts really well.
Dare I say, is there even a potential for full-time touring? I mean, when you have a child that age, that's pretty tough to think about being on the tour full-time. But is that ever in the cards?
I mean, possibly. We've talked about it. I mean, I'll never say never.
Yeah. Okay.
But I wouldn't make her leave her child and stuff like that. But I mean, that would be something that you probably want to do, but who knows? You never know.
Yeah, or schooling on the road at this rate. I mean, everybody's
everybody's doing virtual schooling.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, if there's ever a time, it's so there's so many opportunities and options now for how school is going down, which is a whole nother story. So, since have we had you one other time, or have we had you before? I think we have, right? Maybe.
I believe so.
If we didn't, we should.
Yeah, I believe so.
I want to say maybe it was
USDGC?
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Maybe.
At any rate,
I thought maybe he swung in at GBO or something at one point at the warehouse, but I could be wrong there.
So the point is, it's definitely overdue. But so my follow up to that is, for those that don't know, give us a little bit of your backstory about what you were doing before golf. I mean, everybody. I don't know what's the bigger compliment, the best hair on the tour, the best lefty on the tour, but before golf and being one of those other high accolades, what were you doing?
So kind of before golf, I worked with people with developmental disabilities, so basically in the healthcare field. And then I kind of started to pick up disc golf, and so I would work overnights with people with developmental disabilities and basically play disc golf all day. And then when I moved to Kansas City in 2015, I started working with people with dementia and Alzheimer's, and I would work with them in their homes and do healthcare. And then in 2018, I quit working full time and started playing disc golf full time.
And with the pandemic and with everything else, was there ever a point where you were kind of trying to line up, I'll say, plan B, what was going to happen next, knowing how much golf you were or weren't going to be playing, and then healthcare is a whole nother, obviously, I think just a totally different beast right now being in COVID. But what were some of your thoughts during the whole, initial phases of COVID?
Honestly, with dynamic discs and how much they support me, especially now, I didn't even have to think about getting a second job or, worrying about that. In the future, that could be a possibility, but, at this point, I'm definitely all disc golf, and that's definitely for the foreseeable future. But I still love working with people and helping people.
And how does the rest of the year look for you right now? Obviously, we're talking about, a couple of the Pro Tour events coming up, and I'm sure your eyes are set on USDGC. Anything outside of that? Do you want to keep filling in the weekends?
I know that one of our touring partners, Terry Roethlisberger, he is gonna go kind of on a little Texas tour, like in October and November. And I think that I'll probably kind of think about where I'm at, when that comes to it. If I want to play more disc golf that deep into the season, because it's kind of weird. Like we had that second off season, and then for the last month or two, it's felt like just a mad rush until the end of the season. Like play as many tournaments as you can, get as many points as you can. So I don't know. We'll probably be burnt out by the time October rolls around.
Are you one of the people that have the luxury of being able to take the off season off, or do you look for some of our pros look for part-time jobs just to kind of fill in for some extra cash? Are you able to do that, or do you just dedicate the off season to practice?
So in 2018, well, the off season between 18 and 19, I did work, and I worked, in the healthcare field for like 3 months or so. But last off season, I was able to just dedicate it to practice. And this off season will be the same. And I'm hoping to, Arkansas stays pretty warm in the off season, so I can get a lot of practice in. But Arizona's super nice, Florida's super nice to practice in. So yeah, it's all disc golf.
So some options are on the table, I think is what it sounds like for you.
Yeah.
So dare I ask, and this is maybe a little bit bigger, broader question, but what kind of goals have you set for yourself? And whether those are goals that you work with Dynamic Discs, or goals that are personal, or goals with your touring mates, whatever it is. What are some of the goals that you've set for yourself in the next year or two?
One of my ultimate goals, especially after becoming like the highest rated left-handed player in the world, was to win an NT or a major. That's something that very few players have done. Paul Macbeth and Eagle do it mostly nowadays, but that's something that we all aim for. So doing that and just being a better friend and a better boyfriend, to my girlfriend, those are ultimate goals. And also, I haven't really thought about like after disc golf necessarily, but I definitely see my future like with Dynamic Discs and that like family, and like I can move into any kind of role, something like EMAC does now, creating courses, stuff like that. So
have you dabbled in any course design? Oh, maybe you locked up. Can you hear me?
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah, I got you now.
I just asked if you've been part of any course design, any start to finish, or even light consulting or anything like that. Have you dabbled in any of that?
Yeah, a little bit here and there. I get questions, and some people will have me come out and like look at things and comment, and that's something that I love, and especially being left-handed and I throw a lot of forehands too. Like I can see kind of both lines and both angles on courses, and so I enjoy it a lot, and I love the idea of it. I love John Haug's take on course design, trying to eliminate luck. Like I love that.
I think about how Dynamic has fostered so many opportunities. I think from the media perspective, obviously we see the effort that they put in there, and they're always killing it there, and I don't see that going anywhere. I see, and I think about even someone like Tina, who obviously is a player, but then also is a businesswoman, but then also works with the DD team to be a media solution for the team and for the company on any given weekend. Just that full integration and that support. Have you and Eric had conversations about course design?
Not particularly. Okay. But I mean, I'm sure it'd be something if I, commented to him. I'm sure it'd be something he would be like, yeah, I'm designing a course in Illinois, and you can come and take a look, and I would love your input. And that's the thing that I love about DD. Like, almost anything that I would want to do, I can come to them and they'd be like, yeah, let's do that. And it's awesome.
So I was gonna say, speaking of DD and the media, and you guys being kind of stuck quarantining, tomorrow we see the first episode of the DD Open on CBS Sports. Are you guys where you're at? Are you going to have access to that? Are you going to sit and watch? I know DD's doing a watch party. Are you guys going to be able to jump in on that at all, or?
I didn't know they were doing a watch party, but I'm interested now.
Right. Reach out to Bobby.
I will. But yes, we were definitely planning on. We actually looked tonight and saw that we could watch it, and I'm super excited to see it. Like, I expect it to be amazing.
Yeah, what an exciting, obviously, opportunity for DD, for the Pro Tour, for Jomez, for everyone involved, and just for disc golf. You came to the game a little bit later, I think, than Johnny and I did, but did you two still have those conversations about, like, oh, we're gonna get big, or it's just got to get on TV, or we just got to get it on ESPN? Have you had those conversations with your parents or your grandparents ever at one point about trying to transfer your excitement and your enthusiasm for the game into what you hope is the next step?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We have these conversations a lot, and I know that, like, that's kind of all disc golf needs, because honestly, there's going to be so many people with eyes on, the broadcast tomorrow, that probably aren't even intending on watching it. They're watching what was ever on at, 6 o'clock. Then when it comes 7 o'clock, it's just going to be on, and they're going to see it, and they're going to be like, whoa, what is that? That's pretty cool. And, hundreds of thousands of people probably are going to see it for the first time. And, especially with, like, me working in healthcare and, the last 5 or 10 years, I've been able to talk to a lot of people and show them disc golf, because they ask me, what I do, what my hobbies are, and I tell them, and then I can show them videos. I can pull it up on my phone and, show the 80-year-old guy that I'm working with a video of me throwing, and he's like, that's super cool. And so I love it.
Yeah, and you're like, yeah, hey, Roger, no, this is a righty hole. I have to do this to get it to bend this way, as you're explaining it. What would you say would mark be the mark of success for this broadcast? And we've kind of asked a few different people that, and I think it means a lot to a lot of different people. But to you, what would you consider a success as a result of this broadcast that's going to come out in the next few days?
I don't know. I haven't really thought that far ahead, I guess. But I think, hopefully, I see, because, I'm on social media fairly often, and hopefully I see stuff on SportsCenter and, and different, big things where lots of people are seeing it. Hopefully I see it on there. And that would be a huge success.
So do you and Jordan just split social media? I see you out on Reddit quite a bit. Jordan is kind of king of Facebook and liking things. You guys have your own
Instagram. Yep,
that's true.
Yeah. How do you guys? Well, to follow that up, then, what's your preference? Where are you most active? And maybe the better question is why? Why are you most active on whatever that platform is?
I'd say I kind of split my time between a lot of things. Honestly, though, Facebook's been pretty hard the last couple of months, especially with an election coming up, the whole mask debate all the time. And so I try to look away half the time. Instagram is nice. There's not a lot of stuff like people argue in comments, so that's always good. Usually I go on Reddit kind of late at night when I read before bed. And I enjoy it there because you can kind of relate with people and stuff. And so, I don't know. I'd say it's pretty split between all of them, pretty evenly.
Okay. YouTube comments, those are great, I hear.
Yeah.
No?
I try to never read those. I don't, honestly, when coverage comes out and I'm on it, occasionally, I'll go through and I'll look at a couple shots that I've thrown, but I just can't watch a whole round on myself.
Okay, that's interesting, because I feel like there's a lot of players that will go back and anxiously rewatch what they did, whether they're trying to pick up something they did or they had no idea how their disc landed where it did, but now they see the tree that it actually did hit on the catch cam of hole 8, and they're like, oh, that's how that's how I landed where I did.
That's true.
So it's kind of funny how everybody, I feel like all of our top pros, how they consume their own play and their own coverage.
Yeah. I don't know. Like if I play good, of course I'm gonna want to watch a lot of shots and be like, yeah, that was really good. But if I don't throw a couple bad shots, if I throw a couple bad shots, I'm like, yeah, I knew what happened. I don't want to watch that.
I can skip through that 15 second. Like I don't need to see that.
And speaking of coverage, one thing just off the top of my head, I know a little shout out to Todd Rainwater over at Nantucket Disc Golf and all of Nantucket Disc Golf. He's working on and developing an incredibly comprehensive website for their course. And no surprise, we know how much heart and soul and passion he's already, put into that course project. But their website will have multiple shots of every hole on that course that have been thrown by our top players. So there's a tee shot, there's a couple fairway shots, there might be shots from people on the green, and then there's going to be a drone flyover. So all of these things for every single hole. And I was going through some of my old footage as I've covered that for the last 4 or 5 years now, and I found, the smile it put on my face when I clicked on one of my hard drives that then had you and Eric and the wedding weekend and Eric playing in his suspenders still. Picking and choosing all the various shots to then submit for the website. I don't know. It's so funny how literally one clip, good or bad shot, one clip from a tournament can just spark so many memories and bring things all back to perspective, how fun it can be out there. So you mentioned your host. I think you're at his house. What's been going on with his? I'm a little naive to the NHL scene right now.
Bubble.
Yeah, hockey. Is there a hockey bubble as well, just like the NBA?
Yes, there is a hockey bubble, and they're in the playoffs right now. The Penguins got knocked out.
Okay.
So he is back home. Yeah, so he's been kind of like, this is his off season now. He's been playing a lot of disc golf, and he actually played really well this weekend too. He was trying to beat Terry Roethlisberger. They had a little friendly bet going. So,
wow,
that's shooting high right there. Like that's some high hopes.
Yeah. So how good is he?
He's good. I think he averaged like 980 something golf this weekend. Yeah, like he's got some skills. He's good.
Okay, I was just going to look up. His PDG number for Casey DeSmith is 101294. Currently rated 953.
Yep.
Okay. So I know there's probably some mutual admiration going back and forth from disc golf to hockey skills, but has he been leaning on all of you guys? I mean, he's got 3 premier pros at his house right now. Has he been leaning on you guys?
Yeah, of course. And we were able to practice every round last week with him, and so I think he benefited from that. And him being a professional athlete, I think he understands how to take from us what he can. And because he understands that we do it every weekend, and there's things, that he may not know that we do. And so he's trying to soak that in, and it's, he's just a true professional. And so he understands us and he relates to us very well.
So what does he need to work on?
If you ask him, he's going to say his putting and his distance.
Okay.
But he's got a pretty good putt, and he putts with the judge, so he's doing something right.
Okay.
But he has a good forehand too. But yeah, and we've talked about it a little bit because he plays a little ball golf too, and he, kind of understands the game of golf and kind of plays smart and plays what you call like Nate Sexton golf, I guess, is what a lot of people relate to. Playing safe, getting pars, getting your birdies when you can. And, but I told him, sometimes, especially playing smaller tournaments, like sometimes you just got to go out and get a bunch of birdies. Like you just got to go attack a course if you want to win,
Yeah, there's no being safe or conservative sometimes if you got to go out there and, like you said. And then, I mean, the all too famous Ellen quote, too. Bogeys are dumb. So you definitely just need to stay away. Stickers are being made up, folks.
I wonder with an athlete like Casey how much of he can take from hockey, whether it's analyzing a slap shot or comparing it to a forehand, or I mean obviously depending on what hand you shoot with. I'd be curious to know how that relates.
Yeah, like any crossover. Do you see any? Have you guys talked about that?
Is it like core strength? Like, I can really draw a parallel to how I
I mean, right. Like he does, like, now it's kind of the off season, so he's not like working out every single day, but he is still, skating. He skates with Sidney Crosby like every other morning, who's like one of the best players in the world. So and we keep like, hey man, can we like come with you? Can we watch?
Get Sidney out to the course. Like, no, come on, let's.
That would be awesome. I actually haven't thought of that. I'm good. No. But I'm sure he does take things, from hockey and what he's learned there, and taking it over to disc golf. I'm sure he has.
And again, I'm a little bit naive to hockey, but how big of a hockey fan have you always been one? Did you become a bigger one once you knew he was into disc golf and had this kind of tie together, or you've always been a hockey fan?
I remember being a hockey fan when I was younger. My brother was a huge Dallas Stars fan, and I like the Mighty Ducks and stuff. But, I enjoy watching playoff hockey, but I haven't been a super huge hockey fan. But I know that Castro and Terry both are, being from Minnesota. And so being here, I've, learned quite a bit about hockey. But in general, like, I love all sports, and I grew up playing kind of all sports and watching all sports. So yeah, I like
it. Like you said, Terry and Jordan, both being from Minnesota, both hockey in their blood, knowing someone like Alex Geising, who also, I think had to put down sticks to be able to come out and play disc golf.
It's the Minnesota thing.
Yeah, of course. What are some of the things from the tour? You talk about good friends and traveling with them. What are some insights that people don't know that happen on the tour that maybe an insight into Terry or Jordan? Give us. You don't need to dish dirt, but give us something that we don't know, that people don't already know, that you would only learn from being on the tour.
That's a good question. I've just been touring with Terry this year. He's a huge gamer. Like, the dude can game all day. Like, I'm not even joking.
Like, is
he hours?
Is he gonna miss a tea time? Some event? Did I hear that almost happened once?
That's possible. It wouldn't surprise me. And with Jordan, like, he plays a lot of Settlers of Catan on his computer. And that's pretty fun. We usually play quite a bit of board games. We got into that game last year at the end of last season, and so we play that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Other than that.
Okay. I mean, it seems like gaming, board games, let me clarify there. Board games have picked up some steam, and I wish our players, yourself, Jordan, whomever, I know there's entire other vans full of people that are board gaming probably right now as we speak. And first of all, I think that's awesome, because I feel like that for the longest time was kind of just lost on some generations.
Yeah, board gaming has really, in the last, I would say, 8 to 10 years, has really been ramped up and emerged with the Kickstarter. Actually has really done it, because there's been a way for people to make all these new board games and get them out to the public for these people that have been craving them, when for years it felt like all you had was Risk and Monopoly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it feels like you guys have gotten into that now. And this isn't a full plug for Steve Dodge yet. I think we'll have him in the next week or two. But have you guys played birdie?
We have not, but I've seen it and I've heard that it's really fun. So I'm excited to try it.
Yeah, I know and again, we're going to have probably Steve maybe even as early as next week or the week after. I know he's doing another Kickstarter. They're going to have more courses available, some, revamped, materials and rules and such. But for someone that is on the tour that knows some of these courses intimately, I would think you would enjoy, that game more than most people.
Maybe not. Maybe some of the pros are just like, no, I get my disc golf on the course.
Yeah.
I can step away and do something else.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair. I think we're definitely going to play it. And, a couple like touring groups are going to have, we'll probably be pretty competitive with it. But yeah, sometimes when you play disc golf all day, every day, on your off time, you're like, man, I want to think about anything but disc golf. You got to get away from it.
Well, and that's going to bring up my next question of disc golf talk. And what I mean is, when you guys are hanging out, and this week's a bad week because CBS is going to have the DD Open, but when you guys are hanging out randomly on a Wednesday night and you're all at a host house probably, does the talk usually always just circle back to disc golf conversation? Is that, or does that kind of wear out as you become on the tour more and you realize, oh, there's more to our lives than disc golf?
It probably depends on like the host. If it's
Okay.
a host that we may not know very well, he probably wants to talk a lot of disc golf. But if it's, a host that we know very well, or if we're staying like at an Airbnb or something, I mean, we definitely talk about disc golf. It's probably one of those things where you're talking about it and then you're talking about something else and then you go right back to it. Like it's just kind of interchangeable with our lives because it's like how we think of things.
Yeah. So here's what I would ask. In clearly this is more of a non-COVID year, or it would be for a non-COVID year. What makes for a great disc golf host? Let's fast forward 1 year. You're in some random town that's about to have a big event, and let's just say it's you and Terry and Jordan. What makes someone a great disc golf host? If people are taking notes, as how can I get these pros to my house?
For me, like I'm pretty easy. I like it cold when I sleep. I like it dark. Like when I sleep, I need it like dark. Everything needs to be silent. I actually sleep with earplugs in.
Okay.
So like because I'm a super light sleeper. But like we've had hosts where they like make us breakfast every morning and like they insist on it and they make us dinner every night. Any host that is inviting and friendly is awesome. If they have a bed for us to sleep in, like that's always a plus if we don't have to sleep on our air mattress. And like some hosts that we've stayed with have had kids, and I like kids, so I like, they take your mind off the game sometimes. You can go and play basketball with them or whatever. So, yeah.
Okay. Now, it's always interesting because like you said, and it's, you get to a host, and even me as a media worker, I get to a place, and you're exactly right. Sometimes people really want to just pick your brain and ask you a million questions, and they want to learn. They're genuinely interested, and you want to share this knowledge. And like you said, sometimes you want to turn your brain off from disc golf, or sometimes you might have other work you want to do, and you don't want to seem ungracious or ungrateful in any way, shape, or form. But sometimes, yeah, getting that break away from talking disc golf can be more advantageous than anything.
That's true. And usually at so the World Championships, I wouldn't say USDGC because we honestly probably stay with some of my favorite people ever, the Anselmos, which Anthony Anselmo is a lefty who's on DD. And we stay with his family, and it's amazing. His dad has a ping pong table, and he played like semi-pro in his younger years, so we get competitive with it, and they're awesome. But for usually big tournaments like Worlds and stuff, we'll stay at an Airbnb or a hotel or something, just to make sure that we don't get distracted.
Yeah. So dark, cold spaces and your own bed. So it sounds like you're just basement hunting.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
If you're traveling, I was gonna say, if you're traveling with the two other guys and a host only has one or two beds, how does that decision come down? Who gets the bed? Does
a rating card get pulled?
Do you guys play like, hey, I'm a higher end? Do you guys go like play it for it on the course? Is it something off the course? Is it rock paper scissors? How do you decide who gets the room?
Ooh, CTP.
Sometimes we do. We do play for it on the course, or if we get to a host and Castro's like, I called dibs on the bed, and I'm like, dude, I just won last week. Like, I get the bed. We'll do stuff like that. But ultimately, like, we have a pretty fair system because we stayed with my friends in Columbia, Missouri for the Mid-America Open, and I got the bed, and so he gets the bed here with Casey. Like, we have a pretty fair system, and both of us like our air mattresses, so it's not usually a big deal.
Yeah, I could see. I mean, you got to look out for your own. You've got good friends, but you also, you're trying to perform at your peak as well. So, closest to the bed playoffs or something like that. I could see that happening.
And my last two.
Go ahead. Sorry, it sounds like your internet's getting a little choppy.
Looks like Chris is locked up a little bit.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll.
There we go.
Yeah, now we can hear you. We'll start. And then maybe Skype is giving us the hook or the hint here. No, go ahead. What you were gonna say?
I kind of actually forgot what I was going to say now.
It's all right. All good. All right. Well, with that, we would love for you to send some shout outs, send some love, thank sponsors, all of that good stuff. We can
tell everybody where they can support you.
Yes. What's the best means to do so? Give everyone all of that out there before we let you go here tonight.
I want to thank, just the fans. Like, they make disc golf what it is, the disc golf for giving us the opportunity to compete, on a big stage, and all the TDs and all the volunteers that, do it every week and make us, perform and play on awesome courses and make the courses what they are. And then, of course, my sponsors, Dynamic Discs, Wales, Sacks, and I supply Bird Coffee. And people can support me by buying my Clemonade Verdict. The next run is coming out here in a couple weeks, so that'll be exciting. And and just support everybody on YouTube. You guys, Smashbox, the disc golf guy, Central Coast, Jomas, just support all them, because ultimately, that supports me. And so, and just keep doing what everybody's doing. I feel like disc golf is huge right now, and it's growing. And so,
awesome. Well, we appreciate. We want to again say congratulations, great weekend, and certainly don't be a stranger. We always love it when we have winners join us, but you don't have to win to come join us. And so we need to check in with you a little bit more often. And I know you got a couple of crazy tour mates that we could catch up with on any given night as well. So we'd love to have you guys back on soon. And all right, man. Well, we appreciate it again. Thank you so much.
We're gonna blame Terry for the bad internet. He's probably gaming somewhere.
Yeah,
so.
I think he is.
Yeah, exactly. So you can blame him for us having to let you go. Either that, or Jordan's just sitting there hitting like, and he's the more he hits like, it's chopping up the internet. No,
that's not how it works.
If he hits a million times a second, that would slow down the internet.
Maybe
it does. And I think he is gaming right now. I'm looking right at him. He's on
so this is all their fault. This is all their fault that things are choppy. But we did get some great info. We love catching up with you again. Thanks for always being So gracious. You're always a smiling face. I see you out on the course when I tour around, and you almost always have a smile on your face. You're always warm and welcoming, and I never know how you're shooting because your demeanor isn't dictated by your score, and I think that's an amazing quality. And I love seeing you out there, and looking forward to seeing you again in a few weeks.
Thanks, Terry. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you guys and what you do. You guys are awesome, especially, pushing the women and getting them out there, getting them seen. Yeah, and you guys just keep doing what you're doing.
All right, man.
I
we'll
appreciate
do so.
you guys.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you
Cool.
very much. All right. Have a good night, Chris. Thank you. Yep. See ya. And another quick plug, the Clemonade verdict, go out. It sounds like they're probably on some form of restock or reorder at this exact moment, but as soon as they are available.
They're probably on that shipment that Rusco told us that there's more in transit than in his warehouse right now.
Exactly. So as soon as those become available, make sure you go out and support him. I know he also, like he said, sponsored and supported by Whale Sacks, along with Birdie Fuel Coffees. So if there's a flavor, they've got like 98 different flavors that are related to disc golfers. Try Chris's first, and then when you're done, try some other flavors.
I made the joke about kicking Jordan off the internet, and then he responded with, yeah, SmashBoxxTV, YouTube TV, 2 Xboxes, and 3 computers going right now, plus 4 phones.
Yeah, so there you go. That's exactly why things...
Normally we tell our guests, like, oh, hey, guys.
try not to stream Netflix.
Yeah, try not to stream Netflix. And I know it's difficult. These guys are quarantined, and I can't blame them. It's like, you haven't got much to do. But yeah, just for future reference, guys.
Yeah, get off the internet. Let your boy Chris
plug his stuff.
Yeah, step inside the Smashbox here.
We're just happy. Thanks a lot, Chris, for joining us. And,
yes.
And as always, Jordan, who's out on the board, a Smashy is one of the originals.
The OG Smashy, that's for sure in Jordan Castro. And then speaking of the internets, I know it's in the thumbnail, and I know it may or may not happen. The number one hang up I got in talking to Steve Rico tonight about joining us, as he also had a victory. I said, can you join us, blah, blah, blah. And he said, do I have to go through all this other stuff, or can I just come in on Facebook? I'm like, you mean Skype? This isn't we're not asking you, Steve, to go to the most obscure, random, backwards website. We're just asking you to log into Skype. I know you can do it, Steve. So
let's hope
the invite remains open. Hopefully you can join us. But all right.
Tonight, before the show, I was working with some of the guys on the Pro Tour. Catch Cam Sam and Blaine was out there as well, and we were doing some tests that we're hoping, and it seems like it's a pretty good chance that
don't spoil it.
We're going to be moving our broadcast up a few floors to 1080p, 60 frames per second.
Oh, that sounds dangerous and not smart.
Well, I mean, why not do it, right? No,
because it costs way more money, and
it does not cost any more money.
Strains resources.
It does strain some resources. We've done 720p, 30 frames per second, and we've done a little bit of reconfiguration. I have with the vMix system to hopefully be able to support the 4 cameras with replay and streaming and recording at 1080p 60, and we did some stress tests tonight. It seemed like everything was good. I don't think I ever saw the computer get above 70% CPU usage, which was the most it had hit. It was around 60 most of the time with everything running. So I think we're going to be in some pretty good shape come GMC. The worst case scenario is that day one something crazy happens that we weren't expecting, that we weren't able to test tonight, and we need to drop back down, but I don't think that's going to be the case with some of the testing that we've done. So I'm excited that we're going to be able to up our production value another step.
Wow. All right. Well, you heard it here first. If anything goes wrong, we know exactly where to point back to.
Right here, me. That's usually where if things go wrong, I'm usually the I don't want to say the weak link, but the chain that breaks. It's usually right here.
Speaking of things going wrong, it's so interesting that I've now typed a few times on the chat board and saw no responses whatsoever. Apparently, people are, in fact, interacting and live on our YouTube chat board. We'd love to see you there.
Of course.
It was not populating for me, which I thought was really interesting. So glad you guys are here to join us. Ethan, I will piggyback on what we just said. I know we talked with Chris briefly, but yes, the hype is real. The hype train's rolling through, the DD Open, and all of that glory and fun and madness coming to us tomorrow night. My favorite part is that they went right after SmashBox on the next night. It made sense. They didn't want to conflict with all the viewers and the members and the numbers. For a Tuesday night SmashBox, they said, okay, let's push this off and have it start on Wednesday.
I mean, if they were really smart, they would have started it on Tuesday, and knowing that people are going to get there early and then roll right into SmashBox because it starts, I believe, at like 7, right? And then just roll right into SmashBox. We can talk about it, but I guess we're going to have to wait till next week to talk about it.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see the reaction because I think you've been able to kind of just barely take a look at some things. I have actually watched the first 3 episodes and seen them, and I am interested to see what the reaction will be on social media and what people's takeaway will be from it.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest talking points will be that it's, and I know we touched on it briefly the other week, but we are going to see and hear a very different Nate and Germ than what most people are used to. You know, we typically see them in a more jovial, lighthearted spirit and storytelling and stuff. That's not really the approach that they had. It was a very much more play-by-play announcer broadcast, big-time broadcast format than the style that we're used to hearing from them.
Correct, and I'm not spoiling anything by saying it. I know Jeremy had talked about it last week. The format is, we're not getting the shot-by-shot coverage that we're used to. It's not going to be that. You're going to see, like, hole 1 played, then maybe a little description of disc golf, and then a quick player bio, and then, we're over here on hole 4 now. And then, they're going to jump around. I mean, on the course progressively. It's not like hole 4, hole 15, hole 6. Yeah. So, they're going to go in order, thankfully, But it is really well produced. Big Germ and Nate Sexton do commentary. They do a great professional job. So I think if there's going to be any kickback, I think that's what it's going to be. That people are expecting more of what we like to hear in disc golf. As a lot of people say, hey, I really love that atmosphere where I'm hanging out with, Big Germ and Nate, and we're making jokes and watching the coverage. It's not that.
Yeah.
It is a professional broadcast, and it is very well done. So I'll be curious to see what the reaction is.
Yeah, and again, it's not even that it should be in any way, shape, or form a spoiler or a surprise. If we have a 1-hour broadcast that then, of course, you have to, which is actually, 48 minutes or whatever the number is, or 44 minutes.
Something like that.
Right off the bat, just the sheer logistics will tell you that it can't be a quote-unquote typical Jomez production because usually their 9 holes range from, I don't know if it's 38 to 48 minutes, somewhere in between there, per 9. So the fact that we have a 44-minute broadcast per day, per round, will tell you right there that clearly things are cut out in the sense that it is not a typical shot-by-shot situation. They've got a lot of add-ins, a lot of bonus stuff, a lot of stuff we don't normally see. But it's not going to be every single hole, every single shot, which I personally, might be one of the most exciting parts to me because I've said it before. I don't care about the 200-foot wide open approach shot that goes right underneath the basket, or
that
some
3
of
out of
those
the 4
other
guys
things.
birdie,
correct,
and one guy who happens to.
So the
just
fact
miss
that we're cutting
25-footer.
out some of those situations, I'm guessing, and I don't look at the scores or the exact specifics, but the point is, some of the more, when there's 4 pars on a hole and literally nothing exciting happened to obtain those 4 pars, I'm good with that hole getting skipped.
And that's kind of what this coverage is. It is, I don't want to say exciting, because exciting, because it's different for me. Like, it's hard to get excited about post-production in general for me. So I'm a bad example to say this. It's exciting for the community. It's exciting for everything else. The action itself is very, I don't say compressed. Like, it's there. It's to show our sport. It's well done. It looks great. I'd be willing to bet, for those of you that are worried about shot-by-shot coverage in this event, I don't know who is out there right now at this point still begging to see the full shot-by-shot
there are plenty
for the DDO, but, and I don't know this, I'm willing to bet that there's going to be a shot-by-shot release from Jomez. It probably maybe a couple weeks after this airs or something like that.
Yeah.
My guess is that they've done something like that.
I assume,
but
they probably assembled every single shot, everything together, and put it all together, and at some point that will be able to be released on their own channel.
Yeah, most certainly.
After a certain time frame has passed. Now, whether that's a day or 6 days or 30 days, I have no idea. I'm not privy to that. I haven't asked, but I know plenty of you have. So at some point you will likely see a standard Jomez release. I assume you will likely see that, and so look for that if whenever that comes out, I guess is what I can say to that.
So someone said it's a recap type of thing. No, recap isn't the right word.
No, it's more involved than that.
It is. It feels, it's got a live feel to it. Like, hey, we've caught up with them on the 5th hole here, and then it's Germ and Nate commentating on the shots. It's not so much a recap as it is a post-production edited down.
Yeah, it's a condensed post-production.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's a condensed post-production that looks great. So it's not a recap to me is something that you do
a few
afterwards,
shots and then
that you're talking about it through the whole thing. That's kind of feels like what a recap is. But no, this feels a little bit more like a very fancy post-production. So for that, and you'll all get to see it tomorrow on CBS Sports. If for some reason it's not a part of your cable package, hot tip, I believe it's part of YouTube TV. They do a 7-day free trial.
Dang.
I actually used mine a year ago or something like that for a different sporting. I think for the Super Bowl when I was way up north someplace and they didn't have aerial signal, but they did have some sort of internet. So we ended up streaming CBS or something on YouTube TV. But get a YouTube TV subscription for 7 days, check it out, and then you can cancel YouTube and it'll never charge you a penny. So if that's the way you want to go, if you don't already have it, if you do, DVR it, watch it, record it, tell your friends, tweet about it, all that good stuff. Blow it up on social media, because that's the type of thing that these companies really look for, is the social media engagement. So if you can tag CBS Sports in a great tweet while it's happening, that stuff helps out.
Exciting to do so. And of course, I've seen Disc Golf Pro Tour, Dynamic Disc, PDGA, Jomez, everyone, as will all of us, will continue to do our best to get those conversations going and have that social media impact tomorrow. Real quick, I do want to backtrack briefly to the Pittsburgh Flying Disc Open, just to put a kind of a pin in that. Chris Clemons, of course, your champion over Nathan Queen.
Or we would have had Nathan Queen on tonight.
Yeah, yeah. Philo Brathwaite finished in 3rd with Andrew Martin in 4th, so congratulations to them. And in Open Women, Sarah Hokum took it down, beating out Kelsey Brackle in the FPO division. Finishing in a tie for 3rd were the teammates, the Innova teammates, in Ellen Widboom and Lisa Fakis.
I think we've talked about this before. Kelsey Brackle is like the 10th highest rated woman in the world.
Something along those lines, yep.
For someone that almost nobody knows, she's such a good player. I mean, she's got PDG number 16007. We knew her dad. Was that Bruce?
Bruce and John and her dad or uncle or aunt.
Yeah,
her sisters.
I forget exactly how the relationship works, but Kelsey's been around forever, and she's just such a really solid player.
She's rated, just to put it out there in perspective, as you're saying, Johnny, she's rated 951, and she declined cash at this event. So she took second, declining in the neighborhood of $500 or $600 when it was all said and done, and declines the cash to retain her amateur status. And she plays in a number of different divisions.
Do you know why she
largely
retains?
She plays in advanced men?
And that is probably why she retains her AM status, so she can play in advanced men, because I believe if she takes cash, she cannot play in advanced men.
She could if she stays below 970.
She just can't do it in a major.
And to put it in perspective, so the woman who took Kelsey, who took second at the Pittsburgh Flying Disc Open, beating Ellen Widboom and Lisa Fakis and the others.
The biggest names on the tour right now.
Yeah, she took second, only to Sarah Hokum. Last year, she played in 16 tournaments, and all 16 of those, she played in advanced men.
She's
it's her prerogative.
Yeah.
I think.
I would be curious, and you've seen her more recently than I have. I don't think I've seen her in 10 or 15 years almost. But I would be curious to know the mentality on why she keeps turning down cash. Now, I know, and it's funny because being from Wisconsin, the Brackles were in Illinois. They always had a really strange relationship with open cash. They started a whole Pro 2 division at one point where amateurs could play for cash, and it was always interesting, some of the things that they were coming up with.
Well, Bruce is a lawyer.
Yep.
And so there was some influence there about legalities of amateurs and professionals, and I just know that he kind of challenged the system. He was also a PDGA board member briefly.
No, yeah, they had Pro 2 in Illinois.
Pro 2?
Pro 2 in Illinois. I think they also had it in Michigan.
Well, and then as the advent of the gold and bronze and the blue and the white and the red divisions, the color-based divisions became more popular. That also was something that got integrated in here, where they weren't necessarily worried as concerned about gender divisions as much as it was just ratings-based divisions, which is a whole nother conversation for a totally different day.
And I do want to correct myself here. Someone corrected me on the board, Cody. I think I said advanced men. It is advanced.
I said advanced men. That's fine.
It's advanced mixed division.
Okay.
We all know.
Okay.
I know. I get it, but I just want to make it out there. It is a mixed division. Anyone can play.
Of course.
But it is primarily dominated, not necessarily by play, but by the sheer number of people that play as men who play that. It's probably 99.98% men who play in that division. So I'm sorry. I just want to make it clear.
I'm good with that. Yes, I also said advanced men. So MA1. Okay. And I think there's a lot of other, like I said, components into where she plays, why she plays. I'll go back. I believe it was also 2018. Every event she competed in was in the MA1 division as well. So, and then she'll go to some of the PDGA majors and play in other divisions. Sometimes she'll play in a FPO division or an FPO type scenario. She's got a lot of different options. So good on her.
Don Lane says that Kelsey actually talks about it on the Ladies of the Chains podcast, which is interesting because I subscribe and I listen to most episodes, so that literally must have been... You
missed it?
Must have been one of the ones that
sure.
I missed.
Sounds like a BS excuse from you.
I mean, it probably is, but I do listen to the Ladies of the Chains
well,
podcast.
It sounds like we could both get educated as to...
For sure. So go and
some
check
of her
out
logic.
the Ladies of the Chains podcast and listen to Kelsey talk about her reasoning, apparently.
Okay, I'm good with that. All right, so that's what we saw in some of our other events that were taking place this weekend, going around. I think about just so much history, and I know I just briefly touched on it with Chris, but just so much history out in Pittsburgh and the Flying Disc Open, and so many good people that have done so many great things out there, and it's one of the events and parts of the country that I wish I found myself at more often. And it's been on the national tour, and it's hosted all these big events. And I think hopefully we'll continue to see more things return on the grand stage, big stage out there. I'm going to side note over to the International Disc Golf Center, the IDGC, as we commonly refer to it, is our accepting applications for someone to join their team looking for a IDGC assistant. The ideal candidate will be energetic and self-motivated professional who seeks to be part of the hardworking team that manages and maintains the home of the Pdga headquarters, a fully stocked pro shop, 3 championship caliber courses, and much more. Open to applicants both inside and outside of disc golf. We support our members in helping us spread the word to encourage the candidates, so on and so forth. Accepted until September 13th with a projected start date of October 1st. And this is and then it goes on and has the assistant job description. So,
right. So we know for sure they're looking for an assistant as well as a media person.
Yeah, and I'll quickly touch on the assistant side off the top first. In that, that's large in part a lot of, I believe, a lot of hands-on course related activities out at the IDGC. So the 3 beautiful courses that you see out there, the Warner course, the Steady Ed course, the Jackson course, all hands-on. If you enjoy being outdoors and want to work on disc golf course related stuff, I know that is a large component of that particular role, and we've seen a lot of really pretty amazing guys thus far have been in that role. So, and then on the media side, what did you? The media? Did you say there was a media role position? Right?
Yeah, it wasn't. I know.
Steve
Hill is leaving, and I know they've already promoted somebody, but I think they're looking for somebody else as well now to fill a position. So I think that position is still out there. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Okay, and then some other awards that you have queued up here, Johnny.
Yeah, the PDGA has announced their Rookies of the Year. I find their headline very funny. It says Humphreys and Jennings awarded 2019 PDGA Rookie of the Year honors, and underneath of that in smaller type, Macbeth Pierce take Player of the Year titles. Like, it feels like they're clearly
they're old news.
That's what I'm saying. It's really funny on what they prioritize in this particular headline, but awesome. So for those of you that don't know, Luke Humphries and Christine Jennings are the 2019 PDGA Rookie of the Year winners. Christine Jennings, as we know, from a particular podcast.
Mm-hmm. We already...
I know. Do we even say it?
No.
Okay, so
no. We need more.
It's a podcast that's out on the Disc Golf Network if you're interested. And Luke Humphries, who obviously last year was his first major year out on tour, both playing very well. Breakout Player of the Year, they're calling him. Looking at some of the other things, and then again, 2019, no surprise, Macbeth and Pierce, your world's winners, and also
Players of the Year.
Players of the Year, yeah. It's just, again, like you said, it's kind of old news. 2019 European Players of the Year, Kristen Tatar and Simon Lizotte. So, congratulations. It says here, domination away from home for Tatar and Lizotte.
Should
Lizotte even be considered?
Yeah, how much longer? And I didn't read the specifics of it, but pretty soon he's got to. I mean, if he has was or has purchased a house here,
is it based on citizenship? Like, just because you buy a house,
he's got like a half Canadian citizenship too, I think.
He's just gonna dip his toe into a lot of different. He could be Canadian.
Wait till the Olympics roll around. He's scheming. This is a slow play. He's scheming everybody for whenever disc golf gets in the Olympics, because he's gonna represent like 3 different countries
at once.
Yes, he's gonna play against Simon Lizotte of Germany. He's gonna play against Simon Lizotte of the U.S.
Well,
I don't know. I call shenanigans. Somebody can back me up on that.
Bob West Memorial Sportsmanship Award goes to Cale LaVisca. So congratulations, Cale, in our neighboring state of Minnesota, talking about his impact on and off the course, obviously with the new, with Airborne and the new course he's got going on.
With the Preserve, yep.
Other 2019...
The Preserve Bar and Grill now available.
It is open. So
there's your quick plug.
Go check out the Preserve.
I went there too early.
The chicken strips were phenomenal.
I was premature. I was there too early before the Bar and Grill was a thing. So now I got to make a trip back.
I've never been there.
To the Bar and Grill.
The Brent Hambrick Award for Tournament Director of the Year went to Nate Heinold. Volunteer of the Year, Bill Newman. Senior Player of the Year, Donna Stanley. And the Edge PDGA Educational Award goes to John Lixette. Special PDGA Award, which is bestowed upon... I'm sorry, here. As bestowed by the PDGA Board of Directors, recognize contributions to the sports and the PDGA to the sports. Should be to the sport. Steve Hill. Come on, a little spell check here.
Ouch.
Conrad Damon, who is the Rules Committee Chair from 2009 to 2019. Thanks for your invaluable contributions and service to the sport.
Awesome. Some very, very, it's great to look down that list and then see so many people that I know or recognize, and no surprise, so many deserving people working so hard and tirelessly to provide, whether it's the volunteerism by someone like Bill, as I saw, Nate Heinold, and of course, everything he did with Ledgestone and the World Championships, and just doing everything he can as he's serving on the board and doing a whole bunch of other things. As Dan Ginter wants to clarify, next year Cale opens the clubhouse pool. No joke.
Like him physically, like he opens it, Cale in like no shirt and a pair of shorts, like pool's open.
Just like in Wild Things. No, he comes out of the walking out of the water. The
Nev Campbell move. Yeah,
I may have seen that. I don't watch a lot of movies, but
yes,
Cale could be our Wild Things.
As long as we don't get the scene with like him and Jordan and Terry Roethlisberger that I know is in that same pool. I think at some point we'll be fine. Congratulations, Cale. That's one of those awards that's awesome to get. The list,
incredible. So yes, and if you're looking to read up more on those, I don't have a lot of movie polls, but that was a good one.
That was very good.
If you want to read up more, of course, check out our friends over at Pdga.com. That's where Johnny and I just scalped all that information from to make us sound a little smarter, or like we did actual research. But really, we're just reading off the website
just
for
reading
you.
off that.
That's what they always said at Best Buy, right?
Just read off the tag if you don't know.
Yeah, read off the card. When both of us worked at Best Buy, felt like that was kind of the unwritten rule in dealing with customers.
Tell me about this VCR, Terry.
Well, yeah, this definitely is a 4-head VCR, and and it's got playback features that blah blah blah, and wireless remote is included.
What's this TV Guide Plus?
Oh, that's just great. As you can see, this has a TV Guide Plus, but these others don't. That definitely sets this one apart. As long as you can read the descriptive card a little bit faster and sound like it's with a little bit more authority, you were always ahead of the game.
Yeah, I was pretty good at that.
Yeah, that's all you had to do.
Not gonna lie.
And somebody tried to pull that on me the other day. I was looking at.
Did you get the extended warranty with the lifetime free cleanings for your VCR?
Yes, of course. You can bring it in once a year.
$29.99 for your warranty.
I was looking at a mirrorless lens to possibly accompany my my M50. And I'll be the first to admit, I don't really know a lot of what I'm looking at. And so I thought I had a gentleman that I thought was from the photo department area. And it was crystal clear that he was just trying to read the card faster than me. And sure enough, he absolutely recommended a lens that could not go straight on due to the mount. It could not go straight onto my mirrorless camera.
Oh. You had to get it, but that's why we sell an adapter.
Yeah, exactly.
You want the Micro Four Thirds when this is the
yeah.
The
so and I wanted to call him out on it too, because it was pretty clear to me he had no idea what he was talking about, but really just was trying to read the card faster than me. I'm like, been there, done that. 20 years ago, bro.
it is funny.
Even though he was older than me.
Yeah, well, that doesn't. I mean,
I'm just saying.
long time. Wow.
All right. Anything else in the world of disc golf that needs to make it into our regular show as we've managed to ramble on to this point?
No, it was everyone again quiet. Surprisingly, quiet week this week and next week. Obviously next week we'll get a chance to talk about the CBS thing, but it has it was relatively quiet. Most pros just kind of split up and did their thing. Everyone's quarantining, so there's not a lot of action, not a lot of social media. I saw Paige Pierce actually was looking for some help on the media side for her particular
some of her
YouTube
content
channel.
and such. Yep. So if you can help out Paige Pierce or are qualified for that, don't be just a weird creeper and make sure you're qualified if you want to reach out. You may not be 100% qualified, but make sure you're at least checking a few of the boxes if you decide to reach out to her. We had a talk with Ricky just a few weeks ago about some of the help. He in that case has a tour manager and a few people that are doing a number of tasks for him, and I think that's necessary for all of our top level players, and I think that's going to become more and more commonplace. Also, real quick, touching on PDGA, I just seeing it cross my desk. Reasonable modification request policy for exemption from PDGA rules, regulations, and procedures. It says the PDGA is implementing that policy to allow players with disabilities to apply for rules exemptions where such exemptions may allow them to participate in PDGA events where they otherwise could not. These exemptions will be provided on an annual basis, requiring resubmittal each year, and will not be provided for injuries that are temporary in nature, such as recoverable injury applications, blah, 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 and then the PDGA Medical Committee will take a look at it. So that's something that's great. I think there was a kerfuffle,
yes,
little hubbub, with regard to somebody being able to use whether it was a cart or some other mechanism that is currently disallowed by the rules as a blanket rule. And I think this is maybe kind of trying to address, if there is a specific situation with a person that needs these provisions, that they would then consider them.
Yeah, maybe I'm confusing this with golf, but there might be something in the rules that say you cannot use a cart or a motorized vehicle unless it's authorized by the event, particularly like when we have events at golf courses and things like that. And there might be something along those lines. And I'm glad. I think that is a 130% improvement to the current system. We need to be inclusive. It's not just a catchphrase. The more people we can bring under our umbrella, the better. And if that includes people with special needs, we need to be able to make exceptions for it. And I'm all for it.
I concur. Maybe in the after show I can tell you guys about me destroying the course today. Okay. I know some of you voted as to what you thought I shot. Ooh, what'd you think I shot at Estabrook today?
Estabrook Park. How many holes did you play?
See, that was part of the trick. There were 20,
okay.
Which is the standard. If you go to this course, which I totally disagree with, and I think I'm just going to say it's kind of stupid.
We had this discussion years ago.
Yeah, but anyway, there's 20 holes out there.
I don't mind the 20 number. There's no reason it's 18, like I said, other than golf has 18. But whatever.
Stupid 400-year traditions. So, I know.
Hey,
who needs them?
We don't.
No,
our sport,
we do whatever we want.
Our
we
sport
throw
is
frisbees.
Only like 50
they
years
hit balls.
Old,
I mean, we're
old.
totally different.
So different. Anyway, so 20. That is a relatively easy course. Not a lot of. There's probably 3 par 4s out there.
It obviously depends. Like many courses, it depends on where the pin positions are. There are some holes out there that are incredibly difficult to get a 2 on.
Correct.
Incredibly difficult.
Correct.
There's a few.
I played it last year. I think I played it.
Yeah, and it's very different than when I played it 4 weeks ago, which is slightly different than when I played it 8 weeks ago.
I think you shot a 53.
Oh. Well, stay tuned for the after show, folks. Cliffhanger. Some of you already voted on Instagram. You'll get the inside scoop. Hannah, I'll address you in the after show too, as I seen you've joined the board. Go back to your podcast. All right, guys, we're going to close things out. We have to thank Chris Clemons, your champion this weekend over in Pittsburgh. And I'm just going to extend a thank you to the Pittsburgh Flying Disc Open and all of the tireless souls that I know work so hard to keep that amazing disc golf community what it is. It has been for many years, and I'm sure it will continue to be for many to come. So thank you to Chris for joining us. Of course, we want to thank all of our Patreon subscribers and supporters here on the show. If you are a Patreon subscriber and supporter, you are eligible every single week for a free giveaway. If you come in at the $3 or above level, you are actually eligible to get a free disc at the end of the year, signed by none other than Johnny V and me.
It's me.
But Johnny V mainly.
And
So that's
I just
how that
forged
works.
Terry's signature anyway. He's
I'm busy.
yeah, he's so busy and he can't be bothered with those little things.
All right, we're going to close out. This has been podcast episode 312 for Johnny V. Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, and Chris Clemonade. We'll see you guys in the after show when you step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the SmashBoxxTV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Smashbox TV's podcast 312's After Show. Really throwing me off there with that.
The after show intro that we never use.
Yeah, that graphic. I wasn't ready.
I know. I just like to throw you for a loop once in a while.
Yeah. Things are getting wild in here.
I'm gonna come back with one of those early intros we had one of these days from the first year or two.
Yeah, we definitely should. Well, I'm about to get down with a Founder's Dirty Bastard Scotch-style ale.
Like an ODB?
Yeah, FDB? Is that what they call that? All right, guys. Welcome. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. A little after-show action here tonight where we talk a little bit about some disc golf stuff, probably, but maybe things not related to disc golf. We also love to interact with our chat board, which I see is a little bit hot and heavy tonight.
I'm just drinking water tonight.
Oh, I thought that was straight gin.
Nope. It is literally just water. It's in the blue cup. So
just to really throw them off.
Just that you can't tell if it's rum and Coke. I would never drink whiskey out of here, but water. Yeah, it's not. I've got different whiskey cups, Terry.
All right. Well, we're going to start with the all too easy, shameless plug. I've got new bonus coverage out. D-Glow, Discraft Great Lakes Open. Sure, you could say, oh, it's so late. Well, it's better late than never, and it's not late because I wasn't technically going to ever do it or contracted for it. A couple of great guys went out there, and it seems like people are loving it.
This is a great time. It's
what else do you have to watch?
Yeah, I mean, you could watch Chris Clemons on CCDG, I believe is what it was. But I'm sure you've already watched that, and now you have like 4 days to catch up on that.
Yeah, you got a couple.
While all the pros are quarantining and not playing, next weekend, we've got
you got some new
golden
disc golf coverage. So seriously, though, hope you guys do enjoy it. It's the Great Lakes Open Round 2, and just to throw this out there, you've got the likes during Round 2. You have Paul McBeth, Simon Lizotte.
Never heard of him.
Austin Hannum.
That guy's good.
And Chris Dickerson.
Never heard of
him. That is your Round 2 card and your Round 3 card that I got for you. Spoiler alert, somebody makes a run for the win. You've got Philo Brathwaite, Andrew Kalick, Drew Gibson, and Paul McBeth. So you're thinking, oh man, I never got to see any of those guys play in any of that footage. You're right, you didn't. And you got me giving you some cocky, sarcastic commentary on both of them.
Oh,
so
it's my favorite.
There you go. So somebody did say that they like the solo commentary because I get a little loose. I said, yeah, usually by the second or third one, I get a little punchy.
I still think I don't think. Well, Pdga actually might work. I want to sit down and do commentary sometime on a course that we both are very familiar with, and we can take it a little bit more loosely.
And someone so graciously did reach out and said, "Hey, if you need a co-commentator, I'm retiring soon, and I could co-commentate with you." And I want to I appreciate, first of all, the offer. Second of all, it's not a matter necessarily of capability. It's a matter of function and of ease and convenience. If I'm not like physically with someone to do remote commentary, it's going to happen, and it does happen, and it has happened, and it will happen in the future. However, for the sake of getting it done, it's sometimes just easier to do it either with the person next to me, whoever that might be, and or just do it alone.
Because he's probably doing it at 3 a.m.
Yeah. So I do appreciate it, and I know single person commentary is not everyone's favorite. Believe it or not, it's tough to do. Without getting too punchy, as I like to say. But it's out, and you shouldn't be listening to this after show, and you should just put it on mute. Those are your two best solutions.
I want to give a shout out to Sam Doyle, who we talked about last week. They did the kind of documentary style LVO coverage. You and I actually watched that. It's really funny because we see people come in every now and again and be like, "Oh, check out this coverage I did for this random B tier," and you'll watch it and you'll be like, okay, yeah, it's great first coverage for someone who's just starting out. The graphics are probably mediocre and this and that. We watched the LVO after the after show last week. Phenomenally done. It is extremely professional looking, and a huge shout out to Sam and his crew. They knocked it out of the park. It was more of what I know you and I had talked. You had even said this earlier, but you and I talked about this last week. More of the style that we would like to see in our sport, not just the shot by shot, but this was more of a behind the scenes with the event a little bit. It kind of went through, spoiler, Simon's in the video, and it went behind with him and talking. It was very, very well done. So shout out to Sam, especially for, I think it was like the second or third video on your page. Go get a chance, go check it out. And you'll have to, Sam can put it in the chat on where you can find it, because I can't remember the exact page a week later. But very, very well done, and I'll echo what Johnny just said. We very much enjoyed it. Oh, excuse me. All right, I am going to check with our message board. We see a lot of our favorites out there, some of our not so favorites, but we see a lot of them out there. Disc Golf Nerd, we hope you're doing well, and I say that I'm sure you're working on. Maybe you can give us an update and let us know when you've got another segment for us. We'd love to feature it here on the show. In a short form review of something that you're working on. We'd love to see and hear from it whenever you're ready to do that. And Sam Doyle says the Disc Golf Ledger, so we'll certainly give the shout out. There it is.
The Disc Golf Ledger. Go out and find that. Dustman asks, what's the best way to sign up and watch the CBS coverage? Johnny, you want to touch on that here in the after show quick?
Sure. If you're watching this, hopefully, if you're watching on YouTube, maybe it's already Wednesday or Thursday or past, or maybe you're just watching it right before. Hulu TV and Hulu Live, I think is what it's called, and YouTube TV are both probably sign up for a free trial. Most of them have a 7-day trial. If you cancel before the 7 days, your credit card probably won't get charged, and then you should have access to that. So any one of those, if you already have some sort of cable subscription, check your local listings to find out if it's available. There'll be no shortage of people that will tell you where you can find it.
Yes, that will be a very active conversation that's going to be going on throughout this entire week. I don't think it'll be hard to find or hard to have somebody point you in the right direction. I do want to touch on a question that was put out there. Hannah Macbeth had asked if I will be in Vermont, and I think we can break some news here that it is not looking like it.
That's my breaking news sound.
Like a Phil Collins. drum solo almost.
That could be. That's close. It was close.
Yeah, I'll take it. It's within. We talked with Chris about this, and this isn't anything new. With the regulations in regard to the 7-day quarantine or the 14-day quarantine or the 7-day with test, from a media perspective, and me not being at also Maple Hill, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense for me to be involved with going out to Vermont, because I would literally need to go there tomorrow and be quarantined for the whole week, and then on top of it take the test, which I'm all about doing. But I would have to essentially quarantine. I don't want to say sit around and do nothing, but
I've got a Q-tip. We can do the test right now.
Just shove it down.
I mean,
that doesn't.
Who wouldn't want to watch that on the live stream?
Oh my gosh,
I don't know what
great.
I'm doing, but I bet you.
I hear it's really pleasant.
I'm sure it is. My wife and I are actually talking about going to get a test done in a couple weeks, because we want to go up and visit her in-laws, and there's a slight chance I'll be going to Texas in a few days for a day or two. I don't know, but in general, we just want to be safe, and we figure the kids will be quarantined for 2 weeks, but I myself will be going into work, so I'm thinking about maybe the Monday before we go up for the weekend, trying to go and get a test just to verify, so we can say, hey, no, we're for sure clean, because we don't want to be, go up to my in-laws or to her parents and spread anything. Not that I'm concerned that I have it, but just in general, it'd be a good.
We won't sidetrack too much, but I did hear today that one study has shown that there's been a few people that have been reinfected with it more than once.
Yeah, they're saying that your immunity only lasts like 3 months probably. So we'll see. The other thing I saw is people are saying now that the 6-foot social distancing probably not even enough if you really want to break it down. I mean, it's obviously good, but it might be better to go a little further if you can.
I'd love to get away from some people. So, Hannah, what that means, and here's where the news really comes in, is if it is officially then decided that I will not find myself in Vermont, that would mean most likely, I don't want to put the cart before the horse here, but I believe that would mean that Hannah McBath would have to find a way to fill my shoes as a sideline reporter.
There's no way she can fill your shoes. I'm just saying. What size of feet are you?
Actually, she probably could.
Yeah,
I'm only a 9.5. I got small
feet.
Little feet.
He tips over a lot.
So that's what we're looking at. We're still gonna have a final talk with the Pro Tour in the morning and everything else. But just from an overall just practical standpoint, that doesn't seem to make sense in actually a lot of different ways. And then on top of it, and I think this has also been, the surface has been scratched on this, the very next week when MVP Open is happening, I will then find myself actually in Bend and sitting in with Nate Doss for the MPO and then with Val for the FPO. And I will be taking the place of Jamie Thomas for the show's booth commentary for the MVP Open. And so not only would there be a quick turnaround from Vermont and then turn around and go out to Bend, but if I remain here, then I will be going straight out to Bend from here in Milwaukee. And that's how that's going to happen. And I think we may see or hear of Hannah on the sidelines at that point as well. So a little bit of a change-up that we're going to see for these next couple of events.
Yeah,
check-ins with Hannah.
Yeah, great. It's a good. It's just gonna be It's just gonna be her talking about her dog, like oh, check. Hi guys, yeah, you guys saw that great birdie that so and so shot, but guess what Harrison's doing?
You can hear about it on my podcast.
At the part, she pulls out her disc. Hey, I have this for sale too.
Oh, we're only kind of kidding and giving you a hard time because we see you're out on the board right now, Hannah.
We'd be giving her a hard time if she weren't on the board.
That's
because we know she's gonna listen.
It's a lot easier to talk about her when she's not on the board listening in.
Hannah has proven time and time again, whenever she's been put in front of a camera or in front of a microphone, that she is ready, willing, able, and capable of doing a phenomenal job. So I look forward to not seeing your mug as nearly as much on the broadcast.
We could give you a special feed so that you could just...
I actually do.
Should we have a special Terry Cam that maybe this is a new feature. We should pitch this to the Pro Tour.
Okay.
Where it's
Sell
just
me here, Terry.
it's just a feed of me in the booth the entire time, so people can see me rolling my eyes.
Are we cutting out
me getting
the DOSes? It's
yeah. This is just me.
Just you. Okay.
It's like a Terry reaction cam.
Or do we want to bring the DOSes in so we can see their reaction to your reaction?
Yes, when they're trying to choke me or
like when you're like rolling your eyes and like, oh god, like we're still on this hole like that.
Yep.
That DOS can just be like, seriously, Miller?
Yeah. No. I am very excited, and I appreciate any kind words that have come my way. It's been a little bit of a change in that I haven't been in the booth filling that role for quite some time now. Of course, I've been doing some sideline reporting, and we just kind of had things switch up in the last year and a half. Some different roles. Everybody's been taking on different challenges and roles, and I'm very excited to go visit Nate and Val and their mom Sharon and visit Bevel Brewery for the first time, and just, really excited about the entire experience. So looking forward to it, people. I'll let you know how Bevel is. I'm excited to do that. If they make a Scotch Ale, which
I don't think they do.
I better call them right now, because if they would have to start probably brewing now, or maybe a week or two ago. Dang it. All right. Anyway. So that's what's going to be happening, folks. Looking forward to it. This weekend, looks like I might also be playing in a tournament up in our old stomping grounds, Johnny.
Up in Appleton. There's
Neenah, Menasha, Appleton area. Yeah, the Fox Cities of Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
A Wisconsin tour event going on, which Johnny V and I were very active in for many years. And then obviously once Disc Golf Media started to kick in a little bit more full swing, we find ourselves only being able to jump on and play an event from time to time when it doesn't conflict with something like a Disc Golf Pro Tour event. I know you've attended quite a few more than I have in the last few years, actually, because then if it's not a Pro Tour event, it's some other event. I'm usually out working, and you're here in Wisconsin. So super excited to head up to our old stomping grounds in the Fox Cities this weekend and check out the Fox Valley Open, which, funny enough, is an event I used to run. And I think one of the first places I ran it, this is a good trivia question for you guys. I think the first time I ran a Fox Valley Open might have been at Ohauser, which is where this weekend's event is. And the year was like 1999.
That sounds about right.
That would have been at a different course, though.
I was going to say that maybe 99 might have been at Pierce.
Tallulah, Pierce, I don't know. Could have been one of those. We could ramble on about different parks, but
yes, let's
just go through. There's 400 courses in Wisconsin. Let's just talk about a few of them. There were restrictions there, and that Chris Brandt, damn you. I hope you're retired. Chris Brandt, damn you, over at Pierce Park, one of the most beautiful courses that we could never have tournaments at. Those were the days. Okay, so last subject with regard to my play. I birdied the first hole tonight. I shot a pretty incredible putt. I was on the phone, outstretched, straddle, birdie putt, very obstructed. Bogeyed one of the easier holes a few holes later, and then went on a little bit of a birdie tear. And when it was all said and done, I finished with a 13 under par on a 20-hole course.
So par's, quote unquote
60 in theory. I feel like I got 13 out of the last 15 holes is what I must have done. As I'm taking a look, thanks to UDisc, they do not pay me to say this. By hole 4, I was back to even, and then I birdied 5 through 11, missed 12, got 13, 14, 15, missed 16, and then got 17, 18, 19, and then and these distances aren't right. So if you're looking at UDisc, no, some of those aren't right. So 13 unders, the winning answer. Nobody guessed that. Eric McCabe, jerk, didn't guess it. Nobody guessed that. So nobody wins any free discs from me on my Instagram account.
Oh, great. Yay.
All right, Ryan Pilcher's on the board. I ended up dropping out of FVO. Didn't want to spend the whole weekend up there for one tee time each day and didn't want to do this 2-hour or so drive 4 times. Totally understandable. And this maybe even on a bigger scale or picture, what he's talking about is because of this event, which would normally have been 2 rounds on Saturday for the we'll say pros and advanced, and then a separate 2 rounds for all the other divisions on Sunday. Because of COVID, because of guidelines and whatnot, they actually are spacing it all out. So everybody just plays 1 round on Saturday, and then everybody plays 1 round on Sunday. And that's, by a lot of accounts, probably not ideal for a lot of people. But at the end of the day, I always feel like it's too bad if you don't like it or you can't do it. I understand that, Ryan. But at the same time, I also feel like, well, we get to play golf, though. We still get to play organized golf. And that right now feels like a blessing in 2020.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I'm just not going to sign up. On top of, again, there's a slight chance that I would be flying out to Texas on Sunday. 2 rounds on 2 days for that particular event. And granted, I could probably find family to stay up with in Appleton. I just don't think it's probably not in the cards for me personally. It would be fun. And I do have a slight, a little bit of FOMO jealousy here that I'm not going to get a chance to play, but that's life.
In other exciting news with regards to courses, easy courses, my daughter and I today met with our local park and rec department right in the little village that I live in, about 30 minutes west of where we are right now, me and Johnny. And very, very tiny plot of land that they have tucked on the edge of one of their parks. There's a ton of trees that are all very well spaced out, but there are a ton of trees, and it looks very, very likely that they're going to want to move forward with us trying to develop a very, very short 9-hole beginner course.
Very cool.
So that's incredibly exciting. Look for my 11-year-old daughter to be hustling you down to buy a fundraiser disc so that she can do some of the fundraising. We committed to raising at least half of the money to put the course into our disc golf community. So super excited about the project, and my daughter was there when we presented the idea, and she's excited about making it happen, and really looking forward to adding 9 holes to our tiny little community park. I don't think there'll be a hole, honestly, over 200 feet. I don't even know if we're going to get that far. Yeah. It's going to be super short.
Is it around that pond area?
No, it's no, it's not where you're thinking. It's a totally different park, but
just
tucked off.
But...
And what's great is it's a piece of land that they said they absolutely don't use for anything else ever. And just the fact that we're going to go in there and be able to create a little 9-hole course is really exciting. And so when you ask how short is short, we're talking. I don't think we'll get a 200-footer in there. I mean, the one trade-off, and maybe somebody could chime in on this with how you feel about it, guys, but we could add a little bit more distance, but then be limited to 6 holes.
No. I mean, I don't mind the idea, especially if it's a city park. It doesn't really matter to me how many holes there are. It could be 7, and I just think you're getting this disc golf into this place. If 7 holes made sense for some reason, like you needed a 7th hole to make a connector to get to a certain spot, that's fine. But I would rather personally see a 9-hole short community course.
Yeah, and I to me, I kind of agree in the sense that I'd rather get to kind of the traditional 9 holes than have 6 holes that are slightly longer. So we gain a few feet on those 6 holes. The point is, it's a pitch and putt, beginner style. I expect if you are even remotely decent, you'll probably should shoot 7 or 8 or 9 under every time you play it. And then you should graduate to the course that's 5 minutes from there, or the course that's 20 minutes away, or the other course that's 15 minutes away. This will be a perfect beginner-friendly style course. We're going to have disc golf day with the community. We're going to have probably kids leagues out there, all of those types of things. And I'm not really new to this situation. This will probably be the 8th or 10th or 12th course that are almost exactly the style, but I'm a little bit more excited because it's in my actual community where I currently live. So
that's phenomenal.
Looking forward to it. All righty. Dan. Hey, Dan. Hope you're doing well out on the board. What else do we have out there, Johnny? Anything? I was going to say anything political as I think about the 2 conventions that took place, but we'll probably skip right over those.
For history's sake, the RNC is actually happening right now. It started last night, and I think it goes for 4 nights. So it was tonight's night number 2, and I'm sure if that's I watched some of it last night, and it was being restreamed by one of the political streamers that I pay attention to and watch, and if he does some really good political commentary on it on both the Democratic and Republican side. It's very funny. So so we've day 2 of 4, and that's it.
Also, just as a timestamp, the DNC was supposed to be here in Milwaukee.
It was.
And obviously,
I was actually really excited I was disappointed because it would have wrecked traffic, but I was really excited because that same political commentator that I was just talking about was going to come into Milwaukee, do his streams in Milwaukee, and have like some meetups. And I was like, oh, great, we could go out. You've met him. His name is Justin Robert Young. We were down in Austin, and he was there. And I was like, he was talking about doing meetups. I'm like, yeah, we can get together, have a drink, do whatever if you want. I even offered up the studio to do if you wanted to do his podcast in a nice professional area. And ultimately, with it being canceled, he went a different way, not coming to Milwaukee for any particular reason. But it's it was supposed to be here, and then clearly the DNC, things happened, and they ended up just kind of doing their own thing, which made a lot of sense.
Yeah, of course. Am I getting?
You're getting blown up by Hannah.
Oh, now Hannah's
Twitter.
coming at. Not only is Hannah challenging me here on the chat board, but also getting at me. I think clapping back at me on Twitter. I don't have time for that.
Hannah, no, he has not given me the disc yet. We talked about this earlier. At some point, I will see it. It'll probably be in about 6 to 8 months when he and I'm in no hurry to get it. I do 100% appreciate it, and I look forward to getting it. But I think it was just 2 months ago I got a disc that someone gave you at USDGC for me.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So
I think that might have been Ray or somebody. Thank you.
Yeah. Ultimately, Terry has it. It's in good hands, and it'll at some point when he remembers, it'll show up here, and it'll be a wonderful surprise again.
Yes.
So that's what Terry does. He just constantly surprises
I'm
me.
I'm like Santa on any month of the year. I just show up with gifts. You get super excited about them because you forgot that they were coming or didn't even realize that they were. It's all good. Any other politics we want to talk about? No, I'm just kidding. Not probably where we want to go tonight.
No, I mean, there's not a lot to talk about disc golf wise, but if we want to lose viewers or listeners, let's get into politics.
Yeah, okay, we'll skip over that then. Anything else in terms of I know we kind of talk sometimes about movies and series and where those are all going and how those are all coming about, but my question would be, now that we're getting in, we're at the end of August. I don't know if this is typically like a sweeps week type situation. I know we're near that in a typical year.
Oh yeah, we're nowhere near sweeps week. But.
Exactly. So my question would be to you, what are the production studios and the sitcoms and the series?
They're starting to.
What are they all doing? I know you keep up on that way more than I do.
Yeah, they're starting to film again. I know there's a lot of them that are doing very. It's a very different style of production behind the scenes. Obviously, limited crews, this and that. Movies are starting to come out. Tenet, which is like the real big. It was supposed to be the summer blockbuster. It's the guy who did Batman. I'm told, and he also did Inception. Christopher Nolan. It's a Christopher Nolan thing. A little sci-fi-ish kind of thing. Did you see Inception?
No.
Okay, that's one you might like, and it's along those kind of lines. It was supposed to be huge, and they kept pushing it back, and finally now it's like scheduled to come out. Bill and Ted 3 comes out in like 2 or 3 days on the rental options or the purchase probably. So there's that. One thing I've been watching a lot of lately with my wife is a TV show called Letterkenny. It's so dumb, it's funny.
Okay.
It's basically these 3 guys and one of them and this woman who's one of their sisters from Canada, and it's I think you would enjoy it, Terry. It's dumb humor though. It's slightly vulgar. It's on Hulu. You can watch them on Hulu. I didn't realize when it seems like the type of series when you sit down, you're like, oh, this is probably like 2 seasons and whatever. It's like 8 seasons long. Each season is only 6 to 7 episodes, and each episode is only half hour. But it's just really stupid comedy. I got a kick out of it. I think we're in season 5 or something now. We watch 1 or 2 episodes a night. It's stupid, dumb Canadian comedy, and I get a kick out of it. It's something you could totally burn through in a plane trip. You could get through a whole bunch.
I
of
was
them.
just gonna say, and who are the?
I've never seen any of them before.
Interesting. Okay, so I'm gonna head out there right now.
Yeah, there's not one. There's not one person
that's like of note or super recognizable.
So,
yeah, I'm looking through the cast right now.
TJ says, and that's what I appreciates about it. Yeah, pitter patter. Let's get at her.
Yeah,
it is really well written. It's very funny. A lot of people on the board are. Keith Vance says he watched it 20 times.
Wow.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. He was watching something else. He must be talking about a golf shot. It was just in line as I was reading. Someone said that autumn is in the air. I don't feel it yet. Not here. It's been extremely hot here.
Yeah, really humid.
Humid.
Yesterday it was really hot and humid. Today it was a little bit overcast. And tomorrow in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, we're talking weather. Somebody said it's supposed to be in the 90s, which is not awesome.
Yeah.
Talking
weather.
humor. It's not the heat. It's the gosh darn humidity.
Yeah.
I think that's what they say.
It is.
Hannah says, it's weird that summer is over. I saw a leaf drop today, and all the Europeans have started making their end-of-season posts. Crazy year for disc golf. Yeah, I did see that too. I think it was maybe Kristen Tatar or Jenny Eskalinen or someone that I follow. Might have been Luca Sandvik, I believe, had made a post this in the last day or two saying about how the year is wrapped up, and I do totally agree with you, Hannah.
Championships were last week or the week before, maybe some of the Finnish championships, and it's. I mean, you have to assume that that the weather is turning for them. It's going to start getting pretty chilly and snow probably in the next month and a half or so, and that's nuts to me because it still feels like the middle of summer to me. And even though I know the kids are getting ready to go back to school, not really, but virtually. And it's going to be an interesting few months to say the least.
Yeah, and speaking of months, I do really want to quickly touch on what we're looking at for some timing in terms of the next few weeks. Obviously, Green Mountain Championships. Then a few days later, MVP, which got moved back to that. We talked about that earlier. The Jonesboro that was rescheduled from what would have been, I believe, April, is scheduled for October 1st through the 3rd. And, they were very specific in scheduling on starting on Thursday. So they would have a Thursday, Friday, Saturday schedule for that event, trying to give players as much time as possible that are heading down to the USDGC. So that's right in line in terms of the timing-wise. Some players may find that to be too tight. Some players may not be, fazed by that whatsoever, knowing that they could get there to Rock Hill as early as, we'll say, Sunday. Obviously, some players may or may not have Monday qualifying to worry about. And then Rock Hill doesn't start until Wednesday, typically. Wednesday?
It's
Thursday?
weird to think that we only have 4 Pro Tour broadcasts left. The GMC MVP, Jonesboro, and then the Pro Tour Championship.
Yeah, so again, just kind of time stamping that would happen October 1st through the 3rd. Then you have the USDGC and the U.S. Women's or the U.S. Women's Championships, National Championships, also taking place then. And then 2 weeks later is when you're going to have the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championships, October 16th through the 18th. And I say that because someone asked on the board earlier about, being there or covering it or whatever. And, of course, Pro Tour championships, all that stuff, of course, that will be fully live and ready to go, and then some. And excited to go back to Charlotte, who treated us so incredibly well last year on kind of a short notice, and they really stepped things up and were played very gracious host to the Pro Tour Championship. So
certainly did. And some maybe old news. It's as of right now, and everything is always temporary, but USDGC did get the official okay to have the USDGC at Winthrop. So
okay, that's good.
There was some still some questionable, some soft, gooey middle that they weren't able to commit, and as of right now, it is committed, so they can be able to host. And I'm sure they had backup plans as far as other courses and places, but USDGC will be held at Winthrop as of right now. So if I believe the university is virtual for their first half of the year for their students, which is probably good for us, and that there won't be people around. Every once in a while, when you're on like hole 9 or 10, you hear the baseball players or things like that. We're not going to hopefully have any of that. It is this might be actually useful. There'll be no spectators.
I did not read that. Okay,
I'm fairly certain no spectators will be allowed. If so, it's going to be a very limited, which will be very good for the broadcast, because that's one of those places where when the spectators really showed up on that final day, it did have an impact on some of our
live equipment.
On the live equipment, just the cell towers in Rock Hill would become a little bit overwhelmed. So that'll be good for, I believe Fulcrum is covering that again this year. I don't think anything official has been announced, but last time I checked, the Disc Golf Network isn't covering it. Smashbox separately isn't covering it. I believe I talked to Luke from Fulcrum a couple months ago. They said that they were fairly certain, and that was a way different time, that if it happened, they were going to be the ones to cover it. So looking forward to actually just sitting back and watching some coverage,
some live action. Isn't it crazy to think, though, because of the university, and I know they've made the announcement that they're looking for it to move forward, but it's still 6 or 7 weeks away, depending on what happens in our country or in the region or whatever, the Pdga, otherwise, there is a distinct possibility that anything could still get canceled, including the US DGC.
Pretend, and let's hope this doesn't happen. There is a breakout in Rock Hill. There's a chance that the university says "niet" and shuts it down,
or South Carolina in general, or North Carolina, or wherever.
There's always that possibility. Yeah. I don't foresee that happening. I don't know why it would, but it's hard to predict anything at this point. So, there's a chance that even up to, I would think, a week before, they could pull the plug. And I don't predict that happens. I think we're going to see. I'm fairly certain we're going to see a USDGC. But it's just crazy to think that major is as much as the planning is moving forward. Of course, that's still going to be could be in limbo all the way up until just before things go down. Hannah asked, "Is Fulcrum trying to get more into disc golf since Ultimate is sidelined?" I don't know. I was thinking about this a couple weeks ago, and I don't know how they would. It would be difficult to do that. They could, because as of right now, I hope that we have the Disc Golf Pro Tour pretty well covered.
Maybe there'll be a Fulcrum Tour.
Maybe. And, they could definitely make the proposal for Worlds, and they could have USDGC forever, depending on how good of a job they do. And I know the guys over at Innova, They really enjoyed the Fulcrum coverage. They like what they did, and from what I saw last year, it was a good show. But I would have a hard time thinking of how they would come in to the sport to cover anything significant. They could come in and maybe just try to grind away at some A tiers, but you're not making any money at that, and we know.
Yeah.
So. And
yeah, you're absolutely right.
I don't know. I would think maybe they will, but next year everyone's hoping Ultimate's back and that they just spin right back up into the AUDL or whatever they're doing, and it'll be awesome.
Carolina Chain Banger asking or saying maybe pay-per-view is something that is. But to be fair, they would have to be at all of the biggest A tiers that aren't part of a tour. In order to probably garner the viewership and or the pay-per-view model that people would want to to be consuming that action is my guess. And I'm not about to tell anybody how to run their business, but I think that would have to be their focus in order for them to go out and to obtain something that people are going to want to pay for and want to watch. And right now, the Pro Tour model being 10, 11, 12 weekends, whatever it is, and then some of our pros either taking off or going to select A tiers in between. A lot of those other A tiers either may have some technological challenges. I know we always kind of beat it to death, but a place like Santa Cruz and a place like Beaver State Fling, for instance, just aren't conducive to having live coverage. So you might have the best players there. It might be one of the bigger events, but then technology-wise, it might not be feasible. So there's a lot of things that go into effect, could come into play there. Again, would fully encourage and support anyone that wants to attempt that model. I just don't think that's something that they're probably going to be going after. Could they go after something like the Silver Series? Possibly, but probably not, in the sense that I would suspect that the Disc Golf Pro Tour, if they're going to put any efforts that they're going to put forth from a media front on weekends that they're not hosting Elite Series events, they would then be covering Silver Series events, whether that's post or that's live. And those are also, could be up for debate or conversation. I think if you have the capabilities with a solid turnout at a solid course with great technological capabilities, then you may see the Pro Tour just cover that on the Disc Golf Network, and having SmashBoxx and having us all be live at it. I think that's more of a likely model that you would see at some of these Silver Series events, rather than an entirely separate live entity come in and administer the live component. So
if it were up to me, and it's definitely not.
It definitely is not. Not much is up to you.
I would love next year to be able to cover some of the Silver Series events on like the weekends. I know some of them are 3-day events, but I still think, like for the Silver Series, I think a good Saturday, Sunday broadcast would be sufficient. I don't necessarily think you need a first round for Silver Series events. And I don't know what the plan is. We haven't. We're not even through this season. We haven't talked about next season.
Not get ahead of ourselves.
But I would like to see that. I think to make the Disc Golf Network even more, get you more bang for your buck. But who knows? There's lots happening.
Ray is talking about something I didn't know if we touched on last week or not, or maybe if it just happened just after the podcast. Tom Brenneman last week was in a. I'm just gonna say there clearly was a hot mic. He clearly said something offensive and derogatory, which was heard, and there was the one thing about it is there was no mixing of words. There was no second guessing of meanings or double entendre or misconception. I mean, none of those. You can't throw out any of those words you want to throw around. It was pretty blatant what he said, and the offensiveness and the derogatory fashion in which he said it. And as a commentator, clearly not only trying not to be a jerk or offensive and rude and derogatory, that's a first step. And then secondly, man, saying something like that on the air, and then the way he rolled out of it or attempted to.
He just went, because I think he clearly thought they were still on commercial or on a stinger or something when that wasn't the case. And for those of you that don't know, he dropped an F word, not the curse word. Like, had he dropped that F word, that's nothing. Like, that's just like, whoops.
Oh yeah, that he wouldn't. Crazy enough, he wouldn't have been fired.
No,
for that.
he would not at all. It would have been like, ooh, sorry about that, folks. Yeah, and because everybody at today's day and age, that's not even hardly an eye blinker. But if there's a microphone in front of you, just assume it's hot. Always. Period. Like, don't say anything behind a mic.
You should have told me this 10 years ago.
I know that you wouldn't say in front of it. Just we've done it on SmashBoxx. The one of the first events, maybe it was the second event we did. Jamie Thomas and Nate Doss's mic was hot during one of the intros because I had I'd opened up their mic beforehand to record something, and then I meant to turn it off, and I didn't. So when we rolled into the intro, it was on, and you could hear them like they didn't say anything clearly, but they're just getting ready, like, yeah, let's knock it out or something. I forget exactly what they even said. And I've been very, very, very diligent to make sure that doesn't happen again. And thankfully I don't worry about those guys because they're very similar off screen that they are on screen. So I don't really have to concern myself that they're going to say something that's going to affect them. But just, man, someone asked if it was a setup job. I don't think so. It's not out of the question, but it just
no, because he still has to utter those words.
Correct.
So I don't know what kind of setup.
Yeah, unless
could be proclaimed there.
Here's what I'll say: the only way that happens is if off camera or off mic, so to speak, he is a horrible person. Like he is using it all the time and saying a lot of things, and somebody took the opportunity to just kind of
turn it on early.
Turn it on a little early,
maybe.
knowing maybe that he was talking about something that could lead to it. I don't think that's the case because that is just dumb luck. And as an audio person, you don't want to do that for fear of getting something else, or that's just, I think it's just dumb luck that was caught. And he's clearly going to pay the price for a couple of years probably. I don't think you'll see him on he'll probably never call a Reds game again. And he was a football announcer. I don't think Fox is going to pick him up this year. My guess is that he's going to go to some some
high school,
small, not quite high school, maybe AA, AAA type thing, and spend a few years down there before he's allowed to maybe come back into the big leagues, if ever. I don't know if that should necessarily be a capital offense for your career, but we live in a different time.
Yeah.
What he said was clearly highly offensive.
Yeah. So,
just and his apology was the best.
Yeah.
I'm sorry this happened, so-and-so. Oh, look at so-and-so with the home run right into,
Yeah, and then he just went right back to it. I don't know.
I'll say this.
Was that professional?
That's a professional move. That's a professional call right there, because I think if it's a double or a single or a triple, maybe a triple, a double or a single, I think you can ignore that.
Sure.
It's hard to ignore the home run because your job is still to call the play, but you do for his own sake, he knows he needs to apologize immediately.
Yeah.
Like, and I think of like behind the scenes, like that comes out hot. Someone says, "Oh crap, that was hot." Someone has to tell him, "Dude, you need to apologize for what you said." And then him thinking like that whole time he's got to be thinking, "Yeesh, I'm done."
Yeah.
I'm that's it. Bummer. Well, I guess I'll keep calling this game. And like that, just the whole sequence behind the scenes, I can only imagine what was happening.
Yeah, very. And what's funny to me, funny is not the right word, interesting to me is 10 years ago, this situation would have just hit both of us very differently because we didn't have media roles. Mm-hmm. And we would have seen it and we would have processed it and it would have still been terrible. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. But I'm saying as a guy and as two guys who sit in front of microphones now and have pressed buttons that turn off and on microphones, all I'm saying is I relate in a different sense now being in a production studio. Yeah. And of course, I'm not making an excuse or anything like that. I'm just saying 10 years ago, I would have viewed the entire situation slightly differently than I do today as someone who now sits in front of a microphone.
Yeah.
Side note, speaking of microphones, would it behoove me to look into what Chris Clemons used during our regular show interview to acquire a pair of headphones/microphones that he had for when I want to do commentary on the road with a player? So I sit down with Nate Perkins like we did a few weeks ago. Him and I are both about to do commentary for a round of footage we just we're watching and do play-by-play commentary. Nate Perkins and Eagle are going to sit down and do it. Is that headset microphone solution, which I thought sounded really good.
It sounded good for this. I don't think it's a great sounding mic for commentary. I think the sound quality, it's a distinct sound quality. You would probably have to, if you wanted a good headset mic like that for commentary, I think you need to go way above and beyond. Like you're talking hundreds of dollars.
That could have cost him hundreds.
I'm not saying it didn't, but I'm thinking you need to go above and beyond, because otherwise you have like your condenser or dynamic mics like this, which are so much better because they're bigger, they're larger, they can pick up different things. Those are great. In general, I think you can do better if you're going to go headset. God, I can't even imagine honestly the amount you'd want to spend.
Well, I'll be the first to admit, and I know you guys have seen this, whether you're watching Jomez or Central Coast. I'm going to go behind the scenes for just a second and say GK, Jomez, Central Coast, everybody has a slightly different microphone setup and situation. Now, are you filming in GK's van where they've soundproofed and done really well? Are Yuli and Yuli and Nate or German Nate, are they watching in front of a screen in front of them, and then they have a regular tabletop microphone in front of them? I've seen Ian from Central Coast take a microphone that's a standard vocal microphone, and he holds that up to his mouth while he does the commentary for the entire time. And Philo, I personally will put a lapel microphone on players or on commentators, and I do some of my microphone recording that way, or my audio recording. I don't know if there's still a perfect solution just yet, and that's why I think of the consistency of putting on a headset where obviously they're hearing the play that they're watching, but then also always having a microphone that remains at a good space from their mouth, that also isn't being messed with or gets impacted by other noises or sounds.
And you have to kind of think about that, and I don't know if you want to think long term about that. Today's day and age with what we're going through, is someone going to be comfortable putting on a headset after somebody else wears it? Like that. One of the media groups I listen to, that they do a lot of personal interviews, and they mic people up usually with like an inner ear thing. They say, yeah, we have to replace that inner ear every single time. He's like, we specifically like leave them in the package. We go up to the interviewer, we take it out of the package
in front of them
to show that their thing, because we're living in a time where some people will have to take that very seriously. Now, cross our fingers, in 6 months or a year.
Yeah, I'm going to be licking your earpieces.
Correct, but
back to licking. Let me clarify. I'm going to be back to licking your
guys.
earpieces.
It just fits better if I can slide it in like this. Like,
let me just
right
it
in
up
there. Like, just give it a wet willy beforehand. Yeah.
Let me lick your earpiece.
So there's that.
That's all I'm asking for, people. If you need a soundbite from tonight, the only thing I ask is I want to get back to the days of licking your earpiece before you insert it. Okay.
Somebody brought up we'll go back to disc golf, as we like to bounce around in the after show. The Cloudbreaker 2 release.
Oh, geez. Let's not get started on that one, Johnny.
Was another
debacle.
Yeah. Kind of. Now, I won't call
full disclosure and disclaimer.
Debacle.
Discmania continues to not support our podcast in any way, shape, or form. So any of the sounds, views, or opinions expressed are of mine only, of them not supporting our show in any way, shape, or form.
They let us have Dana.
As a Discmania retailer, I think I can chime in on this.
Good, because it brings me to a good question. So the Cloudbreaker 2 sells out in like 2 minutes.
You guys know that's a destroyer, right? Whoops, go on.
And it's a different mold, I believe.
Go on.
Sure. I mean, you could say the same thing about like the Raider or whatever.
Sure.
Whatever. It's
no.
Okay. Sure. Anyway, people are upset. UC actually released an entire blog post about how they feel like they can do better. That this one they restricted to 5 units per person per order. That some people are complaining that what they want is once you put it in the cart
it holds it. Okay.
Shopify doesn't do that. It's just a feature that's not available. There are other commerce sites that do that, like WooCommerce. I don't want to say it's a standard thing because it's not. Clearly, Shopify is one of the biggest carts on the internet. But
is it the is?
But it's
Is it a very
feature.
limiting solution for a large scale?
It is
commerce.
It is. But think
platform.
about if these are things that we didn't think about 2 years ago. These are not problems that we were having 2 years ago. Like, not nearly to the extent of what we're seeing today. If you've built your entire commerce system around Shopify, inventory, all that stuff, it is not an easy process to rip that out and put in a new one. So I will give a little leniency there. Where I am curious about your stance, and I know where my stance is, there were some retailers, apparently, someone will say like yourself, it wasn't yourself though, I don't think, that where do you stand for someone like yourself? Let's say you were able to secure 20 cloud breakers and you are a reseller of Discmania.
Mm-hmm.
What are you allowed to sell them for? There's a tiny little fruit fly or something. Is it right for you to take those that you are guaranteed because of your reseller and then turn around and sell them for what is right now market value because they're going for so much on the resale level? So if they're going for $80 on eBay, do you think it's right that you get them for that you're guaranteed a slot and can sell them for X amount more? Or is that unfair? Should you be locked into standard prices?
I'm a big fan. I've always check my record, check the tapes, all of those things. I've always been a big fan of adhering to not only manufacturers enforcing them, which many of them don't, but enforcing and adhering to a minimum MSRP, minimum suggested retail price. A minimum suggested retail price. I am not a fan of, and somebody with an economics degree can argue with me or not. I am not a fan of a disc that you purchase at a wholesale price and then not everybody. A bunch of people sell them. I'm just going to make up a number and say $19.99. Okay, a bunch of people are selling them at $19.99. The minimum suggested retail price of the manufacturer put out is, we'll say, $18.99, but commonly they're sold for $19.99. Well, what inevitably happens is the new guy on the block
wants to build a customer base.
Says, you know what, I'm going to make so many more sales if I just sell them all at $17.99 or $16.99. I'm going to make up for the lost profit. I'm going to make up for the lost margin. I'm going to make up for that in quantity. And then they're at $16.99, and then everyone's fighting, blah, blah, blah. I'm a big fan of the retailer, or I'm sorry, of the manufacturer setting a minimum amount that they can be sold for. Now, flipping that around and going to a maximum amount, should there be a maximum? Where do they go? How do they go? I'm going to go ahead and say I'm a little more gray on that.
I think it's situational. I know we've talked about this before.
It is very situational.
Because for something, we'll say like the Cloudbreaker 2, which is an exclusive limited release.
Limited in availability.
Correct. Limited in availability. You had all these people that were struggling to get it.
Correct.
But you were guaranteed, and I don't know the number, what they're
because you're 20. You're saying because I'm a dealer?
Because you're a dealer or a reseller.
Yep. Okay.
You are guaranteed it. So I think that, again, I think we've talked about this before. Personally, I think resellers should be restricted for X amount of time to sell them at what the manufacturer recommends or what they go for sale. So if it's a $20 disc, you have to sell it for $20. If it's a $50, or if it were a $50 disc, you have to sell it at $50. Now, after X amount of time, a month, a week, 2 weeks, whatever the manufacturer determines, at that point, it becomes an open resale thing. But I know people were very frustrated because there were there were certain resellers that like day of, like minutes after they were released, were already putting them up on eBay for like $80 to $100.
Sure.
And I don't know if there was anything against that. I don't know what their terms are.
No,
but it feels almost unfair that certain people, that these resellers get to make this huge profit on this, guaranteed, as opposed to people that were fighting to get them. And this is different to me than the person who was able to sign up or able to get 5 of them during the sale and turn around and flip them. I don't love that either, but I think this is a different scenario.
Yeah, it's funny because let's just play in your world and say I was guaranteed 20 of them. I'm shipped 20 of them. You're telling me you'd love to see me sell it for $20. We'll just say this is the number.
Yep.
And the first person that buys 5 or 15 or 20 of them off of me is going to take those to the secondary market themselves, and then they may jack them up to $80 or $100 or $200. And I guess the question is, like, where are you drawing the line as to who should or shouldn't be?
Are you a reseller
doing this? I personally am.
I'm saying that's to me, that's where the line is. Are you a reseller? You, to me, at that point, you should be obligated. I'm personally a big fan of like an MSRP. Guess what? You can't sell it if you're a reseller. You can't sell it for more than X amount through your shop. If you suddenly somehow, Terry Miller owns Skyline Sales. Skyline Sales is a reseller. I know this gets gray, but then Terry Miller buys them from Skyline, however you want to do the accounting, and then Terry Miller turns around and flips them. There's not much you can do about that. But Skyline shouldn't be able to flip them for that. I think it looks bad for the manufacturer. I think it looks bad.
No, I mean, and just let's think about this realistically.
And I know it's going to happen.
With how easy it is in today's day and age, I could order 20 of them. I could claim I've sold all 20 of them to you for $20, and you could be on Facebook pushing these out for $100 a piece. Like, that's how easy this is. So,
yeah, and again,
right?
Because if
it's that easy to get around everything you just said.
No, I agree. I agree it is. And I'm of the belief, we've beat this horse, that if Discmania were to find you doing something like that, like if you were to sell it, that they could pull your reseller thing.
Well, and it becomes like
if right now 46, 50-inch TVs are very hard to get. So for whatever reason, I think they're it's right before the new models come out or whatever. I had to, when I got one for upstairs, I had to order it. It came in took like a week, as opposed to just going to a store and buying one. If there was one that I wanted, we'll just say a Samsung that normally sells for $599, and I go to Best Buy and they go, nope, sorry, we know that these are limited. You have to pay $1,000 if you want it. Is that like? How is that different? Is that the same?
I think it's very different because there's so little resale and or collectability in a television right now.
Sure,
and just the general overall market of it.
It's about supply and demand at this point.
I understand that.
Like because the Clawbreaker 2s, if they come out and say, cool, we're going to release 10,000 more of them, the collectability on those drops through the floor. So what's the difference?
Well, we still continue to always go back to the whole first to market or the first to consume. Sorry, the first to consume mentality. I mean, we all know that when you get your hands on an iPhone 29 or whatever it's going to be, that the first one that's going to be sold on eBay is going to go for $3,800, but somebody just bought it for $1,200, but somebody else wants it that badly that they're going to pay $3,800. I feel like so much of this, I guess the question is, are you essentially saying then there shouldn't be an eBay, there shouldn't be an auction service or opportunity at all for anyone?
No, I'm saying
and you're really limiting it at that point too.
I am saying it shouldn't be that way for certified resellers. I think if you are a wholesaler and you're getting them at a wholesale discount as it is, that you should be obligated to sell them at standard retail pricing. And I know there are so many loopholes we can get around. You could sell them to your buddy. You could sell them to me, and then I turn around, flip them, and give you the money.
I said that. Yep.
I get that. I understand that. But I think for the manufacturers, it looks really bad when your certified resellers are jacking up the price on your product. I think it looks bad.
And I guess it comes back to being relative to what's jacking up the price
over resale value, over your standard.
But
MSRP.
let's be fair. I mean, I'm going to use a cloud breaker. It might be marked at $18.99 in one store. It might be $19.99. Yep. It might be $20.99, $21, $22.99. What's quote unquote jacking up the price? Yes. And then are you sitting there and having an argument with someone about, well, it's $22.99 on this site, but if you spend $44, it's free shipping on this site. Like there's so many other factors that also go into it. I don't think it's just black and white.
It's not. And you can obviously, play with the numbers with shipping and stuff like that, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about literally selling it at 4 to 5 times retail value. And that is where I think it looks bad for the manufacturers. I feel IMO, in my opinion, the manufacturers should really crank down on any wholesalers and resellers and say, you personally, your shop cannot sell this for more than this amount for X amount of time when we have these releases.
Okay, so you just touched on X amount of time again, and I'm a big fan of that. I'm going to drive that one home.
Okay, and I don't know what that is. Like, is it a week? Is it a month? And if the reseller wants to hold on to these and take that risk and say, cool, guess what? I'm going to hold on to these for a month. Let's say Discmania says it's a month. But Terry, the reseller, says, all right, cool, I'm going to hold these for a month, and we're going to see what I can get them for him in a month. I think that is completely it is negotiable, and I think look at how we treated, and we brought this before. Best Buy had that policy with what was the speaker company?
Bose
had a strict price. Their stuff could never go on sale, and you could not sell it overpriced. If you were caught doing that, your company could lose the rights to sell Bose products.
Yep.
And I think that's how disc manufacturers should treat these special releases. And that's just my opinion.
I know, but then we get into what's a special release, what's a standard release, whose fault is it that things are on either high demand or low supply?
That's all determined by the manufacturer. You have a relationship with the manufacturer. The manufacturer will tell you when you order 20 cloud breakers, they at that point say, okay, this falls under our special restrictions.
And you are totally good with to put a bow on this. You're totally good with, I buy 20 of them. I'm guaranteed 20 as a retailer. I never open that box.
Sure.
20 of them show up at my house, and in 1 year, I open up that box, and then I put them all on eBay for $125 a piece.
Yep.
You're good with that.
I am fine with that. Like, again,
okay.
It all comes down to the manufacturer, because it's them right now that's looking bad. Because they're the ones getting torn up. Because
I would think you'd think it's the retailers look bad.
The retailers look like they do look bad, but I think overall it's reflecting much more poorly on the manufacturer because of what they're doing now, saying and
they're selling product at a wholesale price. Those jackasses.
I understand that, but a lot of people online clearly don't. Like when people aren't getting what they want, and they're seeing.
What if supply? I mean, we touched on this way earlier. What if supply just flat out doesn't meet demand? Period.
There's nothing you can do about that. I understand that. I completely understand that. But then again, I don't feel your wholesalers should be day of flipping them for that type of profit, and because then, as a wholesaler, you're a representative of that company, like it or not. Like
sure, and to some degree.
And just like any sponsored player is a representative of their company. It's just it is. I think these manufacturers are going to end up doing things like this, and I hope they do, because it will help. To me, it will help shut up a lot of the complaints that we're seeing right now. For certain
I think the complaints will just transition to some other complaints.
Of course,
because anytime you have something, the point is we have not enough when some people want more, and the supply in general
right now,
is not enough
low because the sport is growing, the demand is growing, and it's and we're already at a deficit based on things like COVID. We're still trying to catch up, and I just want to see the manufacturers take a more strict approach with their wholesalers. You can't do anything about the resale market for individuals. You just can't. It's just not. I think it's even against the law. Like
sure,
I
own something. Are you going to tell me I can't sell it on eBay?
Correct. You legally in the United States, I don't think you can do that. Okay. But you also have contracts with you have contracts with wholesalers that you can restrict that for, like that's your relationship. That's a contract.
Yeah, you've made. I worry this is all is futile. The word
maybe. I don't know
because I'll tell you right now,
if we see for the next 3 to 4 years.
If I got 20 and you told me I had to sell them for $20, I would then hand them to my daughter. My 11-year-old daughter would then already illegally have an account on Facebook, which she may or may not. She would, Allison Miller, PDJ 40738, would take the said cloud breakers and she would just take them to Facebook.
Cool.
Or Allie,
and then the
not
manufacturer,
Miller, would take them to Facebook.
Yep.
And we'd go about it that route. Or
as a
my neighbor Jody.
Yep.
Jody, not related to disc golf, with Zero Disc Golf Friends, would take them to Facebook, and she could pedal them or she could move them there.
All of that is legit. All of that is possible. And if the manufacturer catch winds of it, they could cut you off. And that's what I
know.
How
many husband-wife combos are on Facebook right now selling things?
Yeah, probably.
There's a lot.
Probably a lot.
How many of them do I think are legit? Not so many.
Not so many.
I'm not gonna call it anyone local. All right, so
dead horse beaten.
We got that one under control. Also, Johnny just generically referencing cloud breakers clearly in the conversation. I got an email from UC. I'll be the first to admit they said that cloud breaker orders were going to be taken a week or two ago for wholesalers or retailers.
Yep.
And I logged in, just like I'm sure hundreds or thousands of others did, just retailers now logged in to claim, and I think they were capping the number, which I'm a big fan of. I'm fine with. I have no problem with that. The site didn't work for the retailers to then order even as well. And I sat and hit refresh along with dozens or hundreds of others for a half hour. And then finally I'm like, hey, cool, I have stuff to do. I literally wrote this. I have stuff to do. Just go ahead and send me my 25. Appreciate it. Of course, I was shut out. I was one of the retailers that got zero and felt bitter and whatnot. But their system didn't work, and it was really frustrating. And at the end of the day, it is what it is. But I'm quite familiar with how all of that went down.
No, I feel for you because that's clearly an issue.
Yeah, I'm missing out on all that scalping I was going to do.
Exactly.
Or better yet, I was going to hold on to them for a few months.
You are a holder.
And then we'll see what they're worth at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have a box of 25 first-run Star Destroyers. I got them from Innova in 2007.
Yep.
I didn't sell many of them. Not because I had any idea of what was going to happen with them. I just didn't get around to selling many of them. I got 25 left. They're all worth $100 to $300 a piece right now, and they're all sitting in a box. And that's why I said to you, where is that magic time frame of what if I just hold on to them? What if am I obligated to sell them to someone for a retail price?
I don't know. Again, that would be a manufacturer decision. Because a manufacturer could say that. They're like, cool.
Hey, you got to buy these now. You must sell them.
No, if you're buying them, we expect you to sell them.
Yeah, that's a whole nother funny situation.
That would be weird. I agree. That would be totally weird. Or we expect them to be seen on your storefront or anything like that. It's a funny situation we're running into. But what else we got on the board?
Keith says, all I know is Terry's girls are great salespeople.
Oh, my God.
They could sell me a car, and I don't have a driver's license.
His youngest is relentless.
Yeah, she is. I love their presentation and enthusiasm skills at such a young age.
I feel I've known your kids forever.
Yeah,
I have.
Yeah.
I'm not above hitting your kids.
I usually don't. I'm not saying I wouldn't hit yours. If you're waiting for
Oh God, no! I give you full permission. If my kid ever deserves to be hit, please go ahead. Your daughters are awesome, and again, they are relentless.
Yes,
Kenzie
will be. Look for her at a course near you,
Yep.
trying to get you into a SmashBoxx shirt or a $125 club.
And if she has to, by chance, pull your wallet out of your pocket,
she will.
She will.
She will not hesitate.
I love you, kids.
All right, so they're begging for the free giveaway. I think we can get in on that. I'd love to do so. Johnny V is going to.
Don't let me forget to give you the disc member
box from last week, which I need to send out.
Didn't give you because it's sitting like right over there, I believe.
We'll get that out.
Let me get that prepped because I totally forgot about that.
Also, I know I already made my pitch for bonus coverage of the D-Glow that was just released, rounds 2 and 3. I hate to say this publicly. I have 5 rounds of Ledgestone bonus coverage. Might be a couple MPO, a couple FPO rounds. 5 total rounds of bonus Ledgestone Insurance Open coverage. The editing process has started. Commentary has not, but I want you guys to know there's going to be 5 additional rounds of Ledgestone coverage. That's thanks to Dustin and also Paul, who were out there hustling around, and the Pro Tour and Disc Baron and my Patreon subscribers. So look for those because in a week or two, when all of a sudden you're like, why am I seeing all of this Ledgestone coverage? Well, if you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. But we got 5 rounds of Ledgestone coverage coming at you. Ray says, please say it's Northwoods and Sunset. Yes. MPO at Northwoods for round 3. And then 2 rounds of Eureka action. And then the FPO chase card had 2 rounds at Sunset. So for rounds 3 and 4. So there is your 5 rounds. If disc golf is a drug, then a $300 destroyer is cheap.
That's I mean,
go with that.
So we have 195.
Love it.
195 patrons.
Sweet. And I think we're gonna have a new one. Do you have any? How do you have them sorted?
I sorted them by email address.
I'm not trying to call out Ian Yelton, but Ian says he's listening all the time, week in and week out, and he says he wants to get on board with whatever this Patreon action is. Well, so if he didn't get on board yet, I bet you he does by next week. So Ian, I made a trade with Ian.
Oh, did
he
you?
got a...
The only Ian we have in right now is Ian Anderson from Central
that guy.
Coast.
I like him.
So he's a nice guy.
The better Ian. No, just kidding.
Ouch.
I know.
You said it, not me.
Well, Ian Yelton did put 2... comments in the mail for me today. Jawbreaker comments.
Oh,
so I made a trade.
I don't think Ian Anderson's ever done that.
No, he hasn't. So we love you, buddy.
Anyway, if you want to be eligible for our Patreon giveaway, all you have to do is become a patron. That's patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV. For as little as $1 a month, you could feed a kid in. Most other countries. Feed them in like most other countries for $1 a month. Is that what they're still
$1 a day, $1 a month?
Maybe it's $1 a day these days, but for $1 a month, you can feed us. Just saying.
Clearly, I need it.
You can help support Terry to get new microphones for his post-production stuff. You can help support SmashBoxx to be able to continue to push the live broadcasts to bigger and better things, 1080p, 60, 4K, 5K, 6K, 7K. With enough money, I will get to 8K. Just saying, but you have to hit this hard right now. Patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV. Go there now. Stop what you're doing. Pause this podcast. Type it into your browser. And there's no limit.
No,
there's a floor, but there ain't no ceiling in this building, baby.
No MS.
There's no MSRP. You can take this, turn around,
retail price,
and flip it. You can take your Patreon, turn around and flip it for like 10 times the value, at least on eBay. No, you could. Put your Patreon support on eBay, or some disc golf auctions page, and I guarantee you.
No one will care.
He said it, not me. I'm guaranteeing other things. Anyway, 195 people today are eligible. patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
If you won last week, you are ineligible tonight.
That's true.
I'm looking at you, Keith.
Keith Vance.
And Kevin.
Oh,
All Keiths and Kevins.
All Keiths and Kevins are out of it tonight. 195. So, Terry, what are we gonna do?
I love random.org. So we find all the best numbers, folks.
This page right here. This is where all the best numbers hang out.
All right. I say we pick our fifth number.
Fifth
I'm gonna
number.
make you go high tonight. Yeah. 1, 2. Oh, lots of ones and threes.
3. Not 124. Not 137. It's the
Here's
next
our
number.
winner. Here's
the
our
next
winner,
number.
folks.
186.
Holy
We're going down
cow.
to the Z's. 186 is Robert McGrath. Robert McGrath. Congratulations, Robert McGrath.
I like it. Robert's never won before.
Really?
Robert, you're typically a loser. Not tonight. Most nights you are.
But not tonight, Robert.
No. Tonight,
Remember who made you a winner, Robert? It's us.
Robert.
McGrath. Congratulations, Robert.
I feel silly. I hope. I'm going to double check that Robert has never won before. No, Robert has not. However, Robert has been shipped stuff. And Robert, what that means is you're probably at the $3 and above
He is.
Patreon level.
He's been a Patreon supporter for a long time.
We love you, Robert.
We do love Robert since February 22nd of 2017.
Oh, old school.
And it's funny because his name is Robert McGrath, but his email address starts with a V, which is why he was way down at the bottom.
That's Robert.
Yeah, maybe it is Robert. Sorry, Robert.
No, seriously, though, thank you so much, Robert. And I see you've been receiving the annual Patreon disc for the last couple of years. So thank you so much. And today it pays off even bigger than the disc. You're going to get a little something extra coming from, it is a stack of Cloudbreaker 2s. A photo of them. And if you want
That Terry didn't get.
that I didn't get, but
with
you could
a note
reach out
from
to UC
that says, "Suck it, Miller. You're never getting them." But in the nicest Finnish way.
Yeah.
Suck it, Miller. You'll never see Cloudbreakers. It's a horrible Finnish accent.
Yeah, never.
I'm sorry I offended everybody in Finland with that accent.
Wow. Dustman. Come on, Dustman. You're saying he says, if I wasn't dirt poor, I'd be a Patreon. Here's the beautiful part about that. And here's my only plug for this 10-minute segment. You can be a Patreon, and here's what you can do. You can cap it. So right now we charge per creation, which roughly is four creations per month on average.
So some people, if they're a dollar thing, they maybe are giving us $4 a month.
Yes, correct. And you may say, hey, guys, I would love to give you $10 per creation, but I can only afford $20 a month. So you can set a cap at that $20. So if we have 4 podcasts, what it will do is it'll charge you for the first one. It'll charge you for the second one. And then the third and fourth ones, it will not charge you because you set a cap at it of $20. So just so you know, that's how Patreon can work. That's how our Patreon works in terms of charging per creation. Some people may say, hey, I want to give you guys $2 every creation regardless, and we might have 4 in a month, we might have 5 in a month, and then it charges you accordingly. Whatever the case may be, you can always set it and then set a cap to it if you don't feel like, if you think things might get wild or crazy. And that's... And let's face it, we usually see 4 or sometimes 5 per month with Smashbox. With something like the Disc Golf Guys Patreon, there's going to be some months, same situation applies, there's going to be some months where I might release 9 videos and another week where I might release 19 videos. That's where that becomes a little bit more advantageous to set a cap. Yeah. You may say, hey, I want to give you $2 a video, but after 6 videos, like that's enough. That's where I draw the line, and that's fine. So just so you know, that's how Patreon works. Okay, guys, and so if you give us as little as $1, and then you set the cap at $1, if you need to be stingy, that's okay. You set the cap at $1, so you'd in theory be giving us $12 for the year, and that alone would make you eligible to win a weekly giveaway. So
a picture of a stack of Cloudbreakers.
Yes. How lucky are
Terry,
you?
someone's asking, do you have an OnlyFans account?
I think I should start one, apparently.
Yeah. Are you familiar?
Some ladies have reached out and have made the suggestion.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't think that's true.
I mean, their accounts were from OnlyFans as well.
Okay.
They were account managers at OnlyFans. No, I do not have one, but if you guys think I should start one.
No one's suggesting that.
No, they are right there.
Someone's asked if you had one. They didn't suggest you start one.
Damn it.
There's a
Somebody
fine
suggested.
line.
Somebody suggested.
Please God, don't. He might start one. We might. Can we? If you do start one, can we live stream you setting it up?
yeah, I think that's a no-brainer. I think if I had one, one of the things that I would love to do, and this doesn't happen, folks, but I think what would be fun is if I were to do more commentary with 6 to 10 of these dirty bastards in me. All right? Because that, let me tell you, just thinking about it puts a smile on my face. It could be a lot of fun. So if I started,
we could start up a Cameo account.
Like,
have Johnny and Terry, wish your friend a happy birthday. I
already do that for free, though.
Yeah, see, that's your problem, Terry.
Yeah, I'm already doing that on Facebook.
You should monetize that. And make a lot.
I love wishing people a happy birthday on Facebook.
Terry. A lot of money.
One of our cameramen that's worked with us for many years, Chad Inman. It was his birthday today.
Happy birthday, Chad.
So happy birthday to you, Chad. As I'm looking down my birthday list right now. Okay.
Let's wrap this up, Terry.
Oh my gosh, it's midnight on the dot. Let's close it out before we get to 12:01. For Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, along with Johnny V, this has been podcast episode 312, SmashBoxx After Show. Thanks. We love you guys. We love our non-stingy Patreon subscribers more. We'll see you next week. Bye.